Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Guru. Thank you very much, dear devotees, for kindly once again assembling here for Srila Rupa Goswami's Upadeshamritam, and we are having a lovely discussion till now. I'm so happy that so many of the devotees have memorized the entire Upadeshamritam, and you have it as your kanthahar, a necklace around your neck. And I'm so happy that it will stay with you forever until you fulfill the purpose of Śrī-Upadeśāmṛtam, and that purpose will be revealed in these verses that Sri Rupa Goswami will begin discussing. Dear devotees, thank you so much to those devotees who have already memorized, and also to the devotees who are in the process of memorizing. Dear devotees, please try your best. Please try your best to memorize all the verses. Let the verses be with you and let them help you at each and every stage of your life. Dear devotees, we begin today's session, which is the 41st session on Srila Rupa Goswami's Upadeshamritam. Dear devotees, it's a detailed study, and we are so happy to give all the time that is needed to studying, understanding, learning, memorizing, applying, and sometimes failing to apply, but then again trying to apply Srila Rupa Goswami's Upadeshamritam. Before we begin, dear devotees, a fresh verse composed for Srila Rupa Goswami in the Chitrakavya style using only 2 consonants. Purupara pararupam papareh purapaprapam puraripo rapiparam raparupa paramparam. So now I'll try to explain word by word. This requires Sanskrit commentary, and a Sanskrit commentary was written for this particular verse, which I had posted in the group. But Rapa, please glorify Rupa Paramparam, this Parampara or the disciplic succession of Srila Rupa Goswami. Now, how is this disciplic succession? Puru Para Para Rupam. Puru means it's like a vast, Para Par means like an ocean. It's like a vast devotional ocean. Rupam. And Paparehe, Purapa Prapam. It is a prapa, a fresh water supply, which refreshes the Purapa, the life airs of Paparehe, of Sri Krishna, the destroyer of all sinful reactions. And Puraripo Rapiparam. And for Puraripu, Purashatru, for the enemy of Tripurasur, Bhagavan Shiva. Even for Bhagavan Shiva, it is Param, it is worshipable. So Rapa, please glorify this Rupa Parampara, this Parampara of Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada. Dear devotees, Srila Rupa Goswami, he composed verses in this style 500 years ago, approximately. And we should also try to glorify Sri Rupa Goswami according to the styles that he left behind for all of us as inspirations. So this is a very small attempt, and I don't know whether he'll like it or not, but this is a small offering to Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada. Dear devotees, I cannot move ahead without thanking all of you who have been here with me for so many weeks as good friends who have stayed through thick and thin. Good friendship is defined in a very sweet verse in the Subhashit Ratna Bhandagaram and other Niti Shastras. It's a very nice verse, dear devotees. And this verse is in front of us. क्षीरेणात्मगतोदकाय हि गुणान् दत्ताः पुरा ते खिला क्षीरे तापमवेक्ष्य तेन पयसा स्वात्मा कृशानौ हुता गन्तुं पावकमुन्मनस्तदभवत् दृष्ट्वा तु मित्रापदम् युक्तं तेन जलेन शाम्यति सतां मैत्री पुनस्त्वीदृशी. It defines good friendship by giving the example of milk and water. Dear devotees, Kshirenatma katodakaya hi guna datta. When the milk first met water, the milk gave all of its good qualities to water. So when we mix, some water with milk, the water essentially becomes milk. Milk gives all its good qualities. Later, seeing that the milk was experiencing tap means heat, when it was boiling, it was the water which rose up and began sacrificing itself to the fire. So when the milk boils, usually the cream of the milk doesn't fall first. Usually the watery portion of the milk falls into the fire first. So the water rose up and began sacrificing itself. Now, seeing that his dear friend water was rising up to sacrifice itself, the milk also rose up to die in the fire. However, the same water, there was some water outside the milk vessel. It came to the rescue, because if you sprinkle some cold water on boiling milk, the milk immediately calms down. The same water which was situated outside the boiling vessel came to the rescue and cooled down everything. Such is friendship among sadhus, dear devotees. So you can see here, it's like friendship between milk and water. The water, when it came in contact with the milk gave all of its good qualities to the water. Later, when the milk started boiling, at first the watery portion of the milk, started rising, and then the actual milk also, that is the cream also, started rising, seeing that its friend water is in danger. But later there was water situated outside, and this water was sprinkled on the milk, and the milk cooled down. Dear devotees, through thick and thin, you all have helped me in this manner, cooling down my life, helping me always. Thank you so much. Maitri Satam Idrishi, the friendship of sadhus is of this nature. Thank you, dear devotees, for always helping me through thick and thin, for inspiring me in my bhajan, my seva. Dear devotees, we'll begin with the Shanti part, and then we will start our verse. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May Bhagwan protect both of us, teacher as well as student. May he bestow the highest fruit of this study upon both of us. May both of us attain the strength to realize the highest truth. May our study shine forth brilliantly, and may we never envy each other. Om. May peace pervade the three worlds. Dear devotees, before we start discussing the actual verse, the verse is introduced by our Sanskrit commentator. There's only one Sanskrit commentator on Śrī-Upadeśāmṛtam, and that is Shri Radharaman Das Goswami. He introduces the 8th verse, dear devotees, and he introduces by saying this. Nanu tadrish abhyasah putra sthitva videya manascha putra niyojyam iti akanshayam upadesha saramah taditi. Nanu, now a doubt arises. Why does the doubt arise? Because the previous verse said that you have to perform adarat, anudinam, constant, respectful utterance of Krishna's name forms, etc. Now some doubts are arising. What are the doubts? Tadrish abhyasa. Putra sthitva videya. Where should one situate oneself in order to cultivate such a practice? And manascha kutra niyojyam. And because the previous verse just specified that Syat Krishna Nam, it only specified the tongue. But where should we invest the mind? Because the mind is one of our biggest enemies, and if trained properly, it will be one of our best friends. So what to do with the mind? Where should it be invested? Iti akankshaam, if such doubts arise. Upadesha Saram. In reply to this, the author Sri Rupa Goswami now speaks Upadesha Saram, the essence of all Upadesh, of all instructions. In which verse? Tad iti, the verse which begins with Tat, Tannama. Dear devotees, this is the 8th instruction and it is the essence of all the instructions. It is now in front of us. I'll sing the verse, dear devotees. Tannama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtanano Smrityoh Kramena Rasanamanasi Niyojya Tishthan Vrajeta Anuragi jananugami Kalam Nayeda Khilamityupadeshasaram. This is the 8th verse of Śrī-Upadeśāmṛtam. The meter is the same as the meter of the previous verse. The meter is named Vasanta Tilakam, and same meter as the verses in Brahma Samhita, Chintamani Prakara Sadmasu. So same meter, Vasanta Tilakam, and this meter has this particular format. I have arranged the first line. Tan Nama Rupa Charitadi Sukirta Nanu. So there are some long syllables which are known as Guru, which are denoted in red color, G, Guru. And there are short syllables, Laghu, which are denoted in dark blue using L. So Guru requires 2 eye blinks of time. Laghu requires only 1 eye blink of time. Tannama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtananu. This is the format of the verse in every line. So there are 4 lines and this is the format of the verse. Dear devotees, this meter is called Vasanta Tilakam. Now if you see the last syllable, Nu. Nu is a short syllable, but it has been marked here as a long syllable, Guru syllable. Why? Because according to the rules of Chanda Shastra, according to the rules of Sanskrit prosody, the end of every line is Guru. So even if the syllable is Laghu or short syllable, according to the rules of Sanskrit prosody, it has to be counted as Guru. Because at the end we always give a stress. Tannama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtananu. We gave a stress at the end. Because of giving a stress, even though the syllable is Laghu, it is counted as Guru. So this is the format of Vasanta Tilakam meter. Now, dear devotees, this is the verse in front of us, and this is the Anvay of the verse. Dear devotees, let's see the Anvay. I will read every term. Rameshwar Mahaprabhu Prabhu, you read the translation. All right. Tishthan.
While residing.
Vraja.
In Vraja.
Anugami.
A devout follower.
Jana.
Of individuals.
Tad Anuragi.
Attached to Vraja.
Nayet.
Should spend.
Akhilam.
One's entire.
Kalam.
Time.
Niyojya.
By investing.
Rasana Manasi.
One's tongue and mind.
Kramena.
Respectively.
Sukirtana Anusmrityoha.
In joyous kirtan and repeated smaran.
Tan Nama Rupa Charitadi.
Of the name, form, character, etc. of Krishna and his associates.
Iti.
This indeed is
Upadesha Saram.
The essence of all instruction.
So, Prabhu, can you read the sentence?
While residing in Vraja, a devout follower of individuals attached to Vraja should spend one's entire time by investing one's tongue and mind, respectively, in joyous kirtan and repeated smaran of the name, form, character, etc. of Krishna and his associates. This indeed is the essence of all instruction.
Wonderful. Till now, Srila Rupa Goswami had not told us whom we should follow, which devotee should we follow. But in this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami is introducing the devotees whom we should follow in our bhakti. And he very clearly says, Tishthan Vraje. If you want to reside in Vraja. Because there are many holy places, tirthas, where a devotee can reside. But Sri Rupa Goswami's recommendation is to reside in Vraja, Sri Vrindavan. We will see what is the meaning of residing in Vraja. But that is not for today. We will see in some other session about what is the meaning of residence in Vraja. But Anugami, somebody who has become a devout follower. So this verse is not about somebody who has just begun practicing. Somebody who has become a devout follower, somebody who has advanced enough that they have become a devout follower of whom? Of Tad Anuragi Jana, of individuals who are Tad Anuragi, who are attached to Tat, who are attached to Vraja. Having become such a devout follower, what should one do? Nayet Akhilam Kalam. One should spend one's entire time. How should one spend one's entire time? Niyojya, by investing. By investing what? Rasana and Manasi. Rasana refers to the tongue, Manasi refers to the mind. Where should one invest one's tongue and mind? Kramena, invest them respectively in two things. In which two things? Sukirtana, invest the tongue in joyous kirtan. And Anusmrityo, invest the mind in Anu, repeated smaran. Repeated joyous kirtan and repeated smaran of what? Of Tan Nama, of his name. Whose name? Of Krishna's Nama, of Krishna's Rupa, of Krishna's Charitra, of Krishna's name, form, character, etc. And iti, this indeed is Upadeshamritam, the essential essence of all the instructions, the devotees. So this is how the verse is understood. This is plain vanilla meaning of the verse. Nothing has been added. Maybe a few things in the brackets, Krishna and his associates. But other than that, this is the plain vanilla meaning of the verse. So Srila Rupa Goswami is now becoming more and more detailed. He is not just giving general principles. Atyahara, prayasascha. No. Those principles we left behind. Now it is assumed that we know all those principles. Now, dear devotees, the principles that are going to be taught are for those who have a very serious fire in the stomach to make advancement towards the ultimate goal of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Dear devotees, this part of Śrī-Upadeśāmṛtam onwards, we are going to come in contact with the direct core of the Gaudiya Vaishnav Sampradaya. Therefore, it is not easy for everyone to handle. But it is my duty to speak what the acharyas have spoken, and therefore I will discuss these verses as the acharyas have discussed them. So the first priority will be given to the opinions of the previous acharyas. And they have given so many opinions on this particular verse. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has written a lengthy commentary on this verse. And it's a beautiful commentary. But dear devotees, we have to discuss all those aspects today. Today, I'll not get so much time to speak something from my personal realization, but I'll get all the time will be used in speaking from the previous acharyas. So let's begin, dear devotees. Now, first and foremost, Sri Radharaman Das Goswami starts explaining the verse. The verse begins with Tan Nama, his name. Whose name? Sri Radharaman Goswami says Tasyaiva. Tat means that Shri Krishna, of that Shri Krishna. Who is that Shri Krishna? Who attracts all hearts. Sarva chitta akarshakatvena. Now, there may be a person named Krishna in this world today in 2023 who is very attractive. So, is that Krishna whom you are speaking about? So, he says, no. Tadrisha rudhya yashodanandanatvena cha vraje khyatasya. That Krishna who is renowned in Vraja as the son of Yashoda by popular convention. That person we are speaking about. Because many people may be named Krishna, but we are speaking about that Krishna who is established as the son of Yashoda by popular convention in Vraja. Khyatasya, he is renowned. His Nama, Rupa, Charitadi, Vishayike. In relation to the name, form, character, etc. of that Krishna, what should one do? Ye Kirtana Anusmriti. One should respectively engage one's tongue and mind in Kirtan and repeated Smaran. And Tayoho Kramena Rasana Manasi Niyojya Vraja Evam Tishthan. So while residing in Vraja in this way, Akhilam Kalam Nay, San Akhilam Kalam Nay, one should spend one's entire time. Dear devotees, Sri Radharaman Das Goswami is telling us a very important principle. The principle is that if we want to advance towards the Prayojan, the final goal of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu, what is the final goal to be attained in Gaudiya Vaishnavism?
Prema Bhakti.
Wonderful. So if we want to attain Prema Bhakti in Gaudiya Vaishnavism, now you have spoken a goal which is specific, but not yet too specific. But this answer is correct for the time being. In Prema Bhakti also, there are many varieties. But right now, let's say we want to attain Prema Bhakti. But Prema Bhakti also is of many types. Prema can be towards Bhagavan Ramachandra. Prema can be towards other forms of Bhagavan. One can also have Prema for other forms of Bhagavan. So do the residents of Ayodhya not have Prema towards Lord Ramachandra? They definitely have. They have Lord. So Prabhu, which specific type of Prema is Sri Radharaman Das Goswami indicating towards?
Vraja Prema towards Sri Krishna.
So he's indicating towards Vraja Prema, the love, the Prema which the residents of Vraja have towards Sri Krishna. Now, we should have that Sri Krishna, his name, on his form, his character on our tongue, and also within our mind, dear devotees. Two senses have to be engaged if we want to advance, the tongue and the mind. The tongue has to be used in singing repeatedly of Krishna's name, form, qualities, pastimes, etc. And the mind also has to be engaged. Many devotees think it is only essential to engage the tongue. Forget about the mind, just engage the tongue. But engaging the mind is equally as important. Because unless we engage the mind in thinking of Krishna's name, form, qualities, pastimes, etc., it is not possible to make advance. Gaudiya Vaishnavism in its advanced stages is a deep culture of training the mind in remembrance of Shri Krishna. So unless one is prepared to train the mind in Smaran, in Anusmriti of Krishna, one will not be able to advance sufficiently on this path of Vraja Prem. It is simply not possible, dear devotees. Therefore, it is essential that one should train oneself in the culture of Smaran. If it was not essential, Srila Rupa Goswami would not have mentioned Anusmritya in the verse. He is mentioning because Smaran is of paramount importance on the path of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Now, Sri Radharaman Goswami says, he raises the same doubt. Bhaktescha bhaktanugatyanu-rupatvat. Bhaktanam cha dvaividhyat. Ke anugamya. Bhakti develops by devoutly following a devotee. We all became devotees because we followed an existing devotee. So bhakti develops by devoutly following a devotee. And since devotees are of two types, what are the two types? The first, the logical answer was Vaidhi and Raganuga. But no, that is not his saying. Those who are not yet included in the internal pastimes, which means those who are right now practitioners, and those who are already in the eternal pastimes. Which type of devotee should we follow? The verse answers by saying Tad Anuragi jananugami. What is the meaning of this term, Tad Anuragi jananugami? First interpretation is that one should follow those Gurujanas who have an innate nature of following in the mood and footsteps of those eternal associates of Krishna who are included in his pastimes as a human in Vraja. Which means we have to follow the mood of a particular Guru. Because if we directly try to follow the mood of a Vrajavasi, we may not be able to understand their mood. But if we have a Guru who is well trained in following the mood of an eternal associate of Krishna, then by looking at that Guru, we can also get trained in the culture of following in the footsteps of the mood of the Vrajavasis. Dear devotees, this is what is called Raga Bhakti, Raganuga Bhakti, and a detailed discussion on this will happen today and in the coming weeks, dear devotees. We will not shy away from any discussion whatsoever, because we will see today that Srila Bhakti Siddhant Saraswati Thakur is also not shying away from giving all the details. He is going to give all the details. Our Acharya Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur will give all the details. So there is no shying away from these details. And there is no making excuses that, oh, I will get a shortcut to Goloka Vrindavan. I have said many times previously, if there was a shortcut, Srila Rupa Goswami would have been the first one to mention it before all of us. The shortest cut has been given by the previous acharyas, the devotees. So by following this path, it is the sure way of attaining Krishna Prema in the mood of a Vrajavasi. Now, he says, another interpretation of Tad Anuragi Jananugami, that one should stay in Vraja while becoming a devout follower of those individuals who are deeply attached to Vraja, not by becoming a devout follower of those who are deeply attached to Dwaraka, etc. Those who wish to know in detail about the two types of devotees mentioned in the first interpretation, that is, those who are not included in Krishna's eternal pastimes and those who are included in Krishna's eternal pastimes, should see Srila Jiva Goswami's Vaishnav Toshani commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam 10:23-32. He just leaves a note like this and concludes his commentary. So he's asking us to look up a commentary, dear devotees. This commentary is by Srila Jiva Goswami on 10th canto, 23 chapter, verse 32. This is the chapter where the Yajna Patnis, wives of the Brahmanas, they are approaching Shri Krishna. And this verse is in that particular chapter. Sri Jiva Goswami says one should understand the fact that devotees of Krishna are of two types. Please hear carefully. What are the two types? He says first is Tatastha, those who are not yet included in Krishna's eternal pastimes, but are situated on the border of such pastimes, which means practitioners like all of us. We are Tatastha, which means we are right now not yet included in Krishna's eternal pastimes. Some of us may attain perfection in this life. Some of us may take maybe a life or two more, but all of us are situated on the edge of entering into Krishna Lila. These devotees are known as Tatastha. The second type of devotees are known as Lila Antah Patinam, those who are included within the eternal pastimes. Now in this also he specifies some divisions, but those are not, I'll not get into those, because what is relevant for this discussion is whom should we follow. So Sri Radharaman Das Goswami says you should follow a person who follows the second type of devotee. The second type of devotee is those who is already included within the eternal pastimes of Shri Krishna. This is from the Vaishnav Toshani commentary on Bhagavatam 10:23-32. Dear devotees, if we want to become a Vrajavasi in our next lives, dear devotees, we have to follow the mood of an existing Vrajavasi. That is very clear. But how do we follow the mood of an existing Vrajavasi, and what is the meaning of a Vrajavasi? Because many times people think Vrajavasi means anybody who is currently staying in Vraja. That is a Vrajavasi. Dear devotees, the previous acharyas have defined Vrajavasi in a different way. Vrajavasi means Lila Antah Patina, somebody who is already included in Krishna's eternal pastimes. Rameshwar Mahaprabhu, can you give me some examples of Vrajavasis?
Madhumangala, Sudama, Lalita, Vishaka, Yashoda, and Nanda Maharaj.
And the individuals who are currently staying in Vrindavan and are performing their bhakti, or may not be performing bhakti, but they are staying in the dham, somehow they are connected to bhakti. They are in which category? First or second?
First.
First category. So if there is some devotee who is sincerely executing his bhakti in Vraja, but not yet included in the eternal pastimes, they are tatastha. These are not the individuals whom Sri Rupa Goswami is asking us to follow. We respect all of them, but for attaining perfection, we have to follow the second category of devotees, Lila Antahpatina, those who are already included in the eternal pastimes. So that is very clear from the commentary of Sri Radha Raman Goswami. Now, dear devotees, therefore, he had said, and I am again highlighting, Vrajastha Lila Antahpatinam. So we have to follow Lila Antahpatin. Those are already included in the Lila, but which Lila? Vrajastha Lila. Those devotees who are included in the Vraja pastimes, they have to be followed. So this is again the same commentary which I am showing, but I have highlighted in red. This is the type of devotee we have to follow. Follow in the mood and footsteps of those eternal associates of Krishna who are included in his pastimes as a human in Vraja. Now, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur begins explaining the verse. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur becomes so overjoyed. He composes a song. Hear the song, dear devotees. Namadira smriti कीर्तननीयमे नियोजित कर जिह्वा चित्त क्रमे क्रमे व्रजे वासी अनुरागी सेवानुसार सर्वकाल भज उपदेश सार. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, Namadira Smriti are Kirtana Niyame. Engage the tongue and mind gradually, krame krame, in a vow of Kirtan and Smaran of Nam, etc. Engage the tongue in Kirtan, engage the mind in Smaran. Vraje vasi anuragi seva anusar, sarva kala bhajai upadesha. Perform your seva at all times, sarva kala bhaja. How should we serve Krishna? According to the seva of those who are deeply attached to the eternal associates of Krishna in Vraja. This indeed is the essence of all instruction, dear devotees. So, this is Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. He says, Ei Ashtama Shloke Bhajan Pranali Ustaner Vyavastha. In this 8th verse, the details of the mode of bhajan. Bhajan means serious devotional service by a practitioner who is already initiated, who knows the goal. That is bhajan. And sthaner, the place of residence, vyavastha, they are specified. This is kramonnati pranalite, the gradual path of progress. What should one do? One should perform constant sadhana. Every day, like I said in the previous verse, anudinam, constant sadhana. Thus engage the tongue in beautiful kirtan of nama, rupa, charitra, etc. And the mind in the prescribed method of smaran. Having done that, one should reside in Vraja and become a devout follower of the Vraja Rasika devotees. Thus, one should spend one entire time in this manner. He also says, Ei manase sevaye manase Vraja vasera ei prayojaniyata. For performing smaran and seva through the mind. Now, it's not only through the tongue, but also through the mind. It's important that residence in Vraja through the mind should be performed. That is most useful, because today, if we go to Sri Vrindavan, if we go to Vraja, I was there a few weeks ago. Dear devotees, the Vraja that you see today is quite different from the Vraja that the Acharyas have picturized in their literature. The Acharyas have picturized a completely different conception of Vraja. A Vraja in which not a single particle of cement has been used for construction, dear devotees. A Vraja in which not even a single shred of plastic is polluting the environment. A Vraja in which not a single drop of water has been polluted by the industries. That Vraja is called Bhava Vrindavanam. Many devotees call it Bhava Vrindavan. I am introducing a term Please hear the term carefully. It is called Bhava Vrindavan, which means it is a Vrindavan which has been given through the mood of the previous acharyas. It's important that we learn how to reside in Bhava Vrindavanam. Because if we directly go and stay in the Vrindavan which is visible to the mortal eyes, we will not be able to make sense of things. What is the Vrindavan that Srila Rupa Goswami described, and what is the Vrindavan that I am seeing today with my eyes? There's a big difference. And I'll cover this topic in one of the talks. But Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, first and foremost, residence in Vraja through the mind is most useful. How do you reside in Vraja through the mind? It's important to have a complete conception of Sri Vrindavan, a detailed conception of Sri Vrindavan within one's mind. A framework of Sri Vraja within the mind is needed. Although framework is a term from the Industrial Revolution, for lack of better term, I am using the term framework. So a framework of Bhava Vrindavanam is needed for us. Unfortunately, most devotees never come to this point. Most devotees will not come to this point. The bad news is that most devotees will remain on the point where they are thinking that now I will just chant and Krishna will take care of the rest. It is Krishna's headache. Whatever Krishna wants to make me, Krishna will make. Why should I bother? Do you understand? This is the thought process of many individuals. I have done my duty. Now Krishna will do his duty. All right. Now in this way, me and Krishna will have a business transaction. I will chant my 16 rounds every day. And at the end of my life, I will go to Krishna and show him, see, here is my chart. 16 rounds multiplied by 365, multiplied by 50 years. Krishna, take this currency and accept me in your spiritual world. So this is the thought process of many individuals. Unfortunately, this is not how the process works. It is not a business transaction that you chant a certain number of rounds and you perform a certain number of limbs of devotional service, and in return, Krishna will give you liberation. This is the mode of thinking of a person who wants to escape the miseries of the material world. I am being very honest. We are very interested to go back home, back to Godhead. Many of us. What will we do after going back to Godhead? Rameshwar Mahaprabhu is going back to Godhead. Is it like Disneyland? Once you get a free pass, eternal pass to Disneyland, and once you go there, you're forever happy. Is that what going back to Godhead is all about?
No.
What is the point of going back to Godhead? Why should we go back to Godhead? Please tell me.
To serve Sri Krishna.
That sounds very depressing. Who wants to become a servant? Rameshwar Prabhu, you want to become an eternal servant? Eternal slave of that aristocratic God Krishna. You want to become that, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. He's the source of all Ananda.
Wow. So somebody brainwashed you into thinking that after going there, you will live forever in happiness. So it is big, this happiness is what we are chasing after. So because of this, many of us want to go back home, back to Godhead. That is because, life is so miserable here. Once I go back to Godhead, everything will be nice. I'll have no problems at all. All my problems will be vanquished. And I'll stay happily ever after with Sri Krishna. End of story. Dear devotees, this is the conception that many of us are carrying. And this is the primary motivation of bhajan for those of us who are executing Vaidhi Bhakti. We have to rise above this. A person who is willing to rise above this limited conception of a business transaction between himself and Krishna is a person who will enter into the depths of the path of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Gaudiya Vaishnavism, why do we want to go back to Godhead? Now I will give an answer. The reason why we want to go back home, back to Godhead is so that we can give something to Krishna. And what can we give to Krishna? To give prema to Krishna. And what do we want in return from Krishna? We want in return also prema. That is all we want. This is the business transaction that we need. So it's not about I chanted a certain number of rounds and I want Krishna to liberate me from all miseries. It's about learning to love Bhagavan and also being loved by Bhagavan and eternally staying in that manner. That is my constitutional position. So if that is attained, that is what I wish to have. Dear devotees, for prema of Shri Krishna, for prema towards associates of Shri Krishna, we wish to attain the spiritual world, and if it is available in this world, then we will happily stay even in this world. No problem. There are many verses by the previous acharyas which categorically state that let everybody else get liberated. I will happily stay in the material world, relishing Krishna prema. I will show you one such verse from the Padyavali. There is a very nice verse by Shri Ishwar Puri. And this verse, Shri Ishwar Puri, in the Padyavali, is the 18th verse. I will share my screen. And this is what the 18th verse of Padyavali says. It's in front of us. The verse is in the meter. Shardula Vikriditam. I'll sing the verse. Yoga Shrutyupapatti Nirjana Vana Dhyanadva Sambhavita Swarajyam Pratipadya Nirbhayamami Mukta Bhavantu Dvicha Asmakam Tu Kadamba Kunja Kuhara Pronmilarindivara Shreni Shyamal Dhama Nama Jushatam Janmastu Lakshavadhi. Nameshwar Prabhu. Yoga. Let somebody follow the path of yoga. Ashtanga yoga. No problem. I have no issues with that. Ishwar Puri saying. Shruti Upapatti. Study of Vedas and knowledge of Vedas. Let somebody follow. No issues. Nirjana Vana. Let somebody, stay in a solitary in a forest. Dhyana. Let somebody perform meditation there. Adhva. All these paths. Let many people follow. Let all these paths become popular. Sambhavita. It is possible that by following all these paths, Swarajyam, they will attain liberation. All these people. Pratipadya, having attained liberation. Nirbhayamami, they will become fearless. Mukta bhavantu dvija. Let all these twice born people get liberated. I don't care. I don't want it. And what do you want, Sri Ishwar Puri? Asmakam tu. For us, however, Kadamba Kunja. There is a thick forest of Kadamba trees. Kuhara. In that thickness, in that darkness of the thickness of Kadamba forest. Pron Milat. There is a brilliantly shining Indivara Shreni. Like blue lotuses. There is a person who is shining brilliantly like a host of blue lotuses. Shyamala Dhama. He is an abode of dark beauty. Ishwar Puri doesn't name him. Namu Jushatam, while relishing his names. Janma Astu, let there be births. How many births? Lakshavadi, millions of births. This is a Gaudiya Vaishnava, dear devotees. This is a Gaudiya Vaishnava. A true and true Gaudiya Vaishnava who is not interested in going back home, back to Godhead. He is absolutely not interested in going back home, back to Godhead. He is interested in one thing. What is he interested in? May I have millions of births, relishing Krishna Prema here in this world. Asha, which means you do not want to go back home, back to Godhead? It is optional for us if our service is facilitated there. If our love is facilitated there, then we are okay with going there, not otherwise. So see the mood of the Gaudiya Vaishnava. This is the mood. Not that, oh, if I don't go back home, back to Godhead, my life will be a failure. Sorry, that is not a criteria for success or failure. The criteria for success or failure is, if I do not attain Prema, my life is a failure. If I attain Prema, my life is a success. Even if I have to spend multiple lives here, but I will spend with prema. Let's make a winning deal with Sri Krishna. Krishna, you want to keep me here in this material world? Sure, no problem. But you have to give me something. What? Prema. I'll stay here forever. But you have to give me prema. Agreed? So this is a question which even Krishna will have a difficult time answering. Because somebody who has Krishna prema, why will Krishna keep such a person away? Dear devotees. Definitely they will attain Krishna's abode. There's no doubt about that. But the main emphasis of Raganuga Bhakti is not going back to Godhead. The main emphasis of Raganuga Bhakti is to attain Krishna Prema, to attain that pristine love of Bhagwan. Right now, I am just using the term Raganuga Bhakti. I will also define what it is. Today, we will hear the definition from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Till now, we might have heard, definitions of Vaidhi Bhakti from him, and many strict injunctions from him, not to eat pan, not to eat cigarette, not to smoke cigarettes, etc. Same Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur will today start describing the essence of all instructions. Dear devotees, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur finishes his commentary. Now comes Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He was very detailed when it came to giving the restrictions. Now he is equally detailed when it comes to giving the sweet part of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. He says, in the first stage in the life of a sadhaka, practitioner, when we begin our bhakti, now he wants all of us to progress in a very nice, systematic and risk-free manner. Dear devotees, please hear how to progress to the path of Raganuga Bhakti. It is very important to understand. The first stage in the life of a sadhak, practitioner, is Shravana Dasha, the stage of hearing about Krishna's names, forms, etc. Many devotees fail at this very stage because they have what I call, this term has been made by me. It's a popular term, but I'm using this term in this context for the first time. Hatha dharmita. They are stubborn about few concepts in their lives. Why should I know about Krishna's form, pastimes, etc.? Name is enough. Why should I hear about his form, pastimes, etc.? The Acharyas have said, the first stage is Shravan Dasha. Hear about Krishna's forms also, about his pastimes. Unless you hear about Krishna's forms, pastimes, etc., how will you fulfill the purpose of, Shravan Dasha? It is not possible. No, I will simply chant. I don't care about Krishna's form, Krishna's pastimes, etc. Those are all high things. I don't want to go so high. Then remain low in your life forever. What to do? If you want to attain heights, you have to be prepared to follow the instructions given by the previous acharyas. Nameshwar Mahaprabhu Prabhu, should we remain shallow in our bhajan or should we attain great heights? What should we do?
Attain great heights.
But Prabhu, it all sounds very lofty and I don't know whether I will attain success on that path or failure. Better I do what I am sure about.
That's where we were meant to go from the start.
Wonderful. So sooner or later, each and every one has to come to this stage. So whether we make a determination about this in this life or whether we are waiting for a future life is up to us. The first stage in the life of a sadhaka practitioner is Shravana Dasha, the stage of hearing about Krishna's names, forms, qualities, pastimes, etc. Do not hesitate. Do not run away from Krishna's form, qualities, pastimes, etc. The only pastimes which a newcomer should not hear are those pastimes which agitate the newcomer in an amorous manner. Only the pastimes of Rahasya Lila, Rasa Lila, should not be heard by a newcomer. Other pastimes such as Krishna's childhood pastimes, Krishna's interactions with the Vrajavasis, lifting the Govardhan, going to Mathura, all these pastimes should be heard by all individuals, all practitioners. For this purpose, Srila Prabhupada made the Krishna book. And this Krishna book we are distributing on the streets to each and every new person who comes in contact with us. Rameshwar Mahaprabhu, today if I distribute a Krishna book to a newcomer and he opens it in between and he finds that Krishna was keeping his hand on the shoulders of the gopis, what will he think?
he will think it's some sort of romantic mythology.
Wonderful. He will think that it is some sort of romantic mythology. But if he reads in the proper sequence, in the Krishna book, Prabhupada clarifies, what is the tattva, what is the correct understanding of Krishna Lila. Now, if he goes home and starts reading from the beginning, and his tattva is clarified, by the time he comes to the chapters where the Rasa Lila is described, then he will be able to understand that this is not simply some romantic mythology. It is the deepest possible reality, the highest possible reality of all of the creation in the material and spiritual worlds. First and foremost, Shravan Dasha. Those devotees who wish to progress, please take your hearing of Krishna's name, form, qualities, pastimes seriously. This should be taken up as a sadhana. Those devotees who are thinking, I don't care, I will advance directly, my best wishes, you are not following the recommendations of the previous acharyas. All right. If you wish to progress, please follow the recommendations of the previous acharyas. One of the 64 limbs of bhakti, the fourth limb, sadhu vartma anuvartanam, following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. This is the fourth limb of the 64 limbs of Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. Anybody who wants to neglect, you can definitely do so. But Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu, if somebody neglects these limbs, then who will be at loss?
They will.
And if somebody follows and gains, who will gain?
They will.
So the loss and gain is purely yours, dear devotees. My job is to put the path shown by the previous acharyas in front of you, which I will do. But now each and every one of us has to take a decision. How far are we willing to walk on the path? So dear devotees, first is Shravan Dasha. Hear about Krishna's names, forms, qualities, pastimes, etc. daily. Every day, there should be hearing of Krishna's name, form, qualities, pastimes, Krishna Lila every day. Nowadays, ironically, and I was asked the question recently, a devotee asked me this question, what is the relevance of Krishna Lila in the 21st century? Believe it or not, what is the relevance of Krishna Lila in the 21st? 5,000 years ago, he came and killed some demons. Now, what is the relevance for us in the 21st century? So, look at the current generation, and I have seen some topics, some devotees give some topics like that. Modern lessons from Krishna Lila. Wonderful. Or this is good. This is one good way of interpreting Krishna Lila. But there is an eternal relevance of Krishna Lila. What is the eternal relevance of Krishna Lila, which will stay not only in 21st century, but also in the 31st and 41st century? The eternal relevance of Sri Krishna Lila is that it gives rise to Bhakti Ras. This one relevance is enough, which you will not find in any management book across the world. So, it's very important that the eternal relevance of Sri Krishna Lila be maintained by all of us. Sri Krishna Lila helps us attain the purpose of Srimad Bhagavatam. What is the purpose of Srimad Bhagavatam? It is described in the third verse. Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam shukamukhadamritadra samyutam. Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu, pibata bhagavatam
Rasamalayam mahuraho rasika bhupi bhavuka.
Wonderful. The relevance of Krishna Lila was given in the Bhagavatam itself. Take all the management books of the world and tell me if one drop of rasa can be extracted from them. That is, and you will find that not even one drop of rasa exists in all the so-called self-help and management books of the world. Now, this is not a critique of they are helpful in many ways, but not as far as rasa is concerned. So what is the, Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu, what is the relevance of Shri Krishna Lila in the 21st century?
It helps practitioners of bhakti to develop love for Krishna and a special kind of relationship.
It helps, yes, it helps us experience that particular substance which the jiva is eternally hankering for. Which substance is that, Prabhu?
Rasa.
Wonderful. That is the relevance of Shri Krishna Lila. And dear devotees, please fix this answer in your minds forever. Why do we study Shri Krishna Lila? Why do we study Sri Krishna's name, form, qualities, pastimes, with for the end result being to attain what the Srimad Bhagavatam promised us? Bhakti Ras. And for that, we have to engage in Shravana Dasha, the first stage that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is saying. Krishna Lila is not some moral stories that, Krishna did something, so 5 moral lessons from Krishna. Those may be some aspects, but that is not the main aspect of Shri Krishna Lila. The main aspect of Shri Krishna Lila is the Bhakti Ras. Now, after Shravana Dasha, what happens after one starts here? Then Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, hearing Krishna Lila, he specifically points out Krishna Lila, which means you have to come to the stage of hearing Lila, the pastime. The sadhak comes to the second stage, Varana Dasha. Varana Dasha means he accepts this Lila as his life and soul. And then the sadhak begins performing kirtan. He starts spreading these topics that he has heard and relished. So then the sadhak has accepted this as the choicest goal of his life. Krishna Lila is the goal of my life. Hearing and relishing and making others relish is the goal of my life. Such a sadhak has attained Varana Dasha. Then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, performing kirtan with one's innate, genuine, heartfelt mood. Very important. Innate, genuine, heartfelt mood. This mood doesn't come by making a show in front of a group of devotees. This mood has to come in an innate manner. One has to have that feeling of I and mine towards Krishna. I belong to Krishna. Krishna belongs to me. When this natural feeling comes, Rameshwar Mahaprabhu Prabhu, Rukmini never saw Krishna before marriage. How did she develop the feeling of belongingness towards Shri Krishna?
She heard about him.
Which dasha is that?
Shravana Dasha.
And then she also spoke about him to her near and dear friends. Which dasha was that?
Varana Dasha.
Wonderful. Now, by this, Rukmini developed, a deep interest in remembering him. Then, similarly, Rukmini obviously an eternally perfected associate. But the sadhak also follows a similar path and attains Smaran Dasha. Smaran Dasha means the sadhak starts deep meditation on Shri Krishna Lila. And this is Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's commentary on this verse. See the depth to which he is willing to take us now. But eligibility is needed, dear devotees. It is very much important to know that everybody will not be able to reach to this stage. Some people will dismiss this and say, no, my Guru's mercy, my Acharya's mercy is enough. I don't care. Wonderful. To such devotees, we have to say, my best wishes. Thank you. Please keep, continuing on your path. But internally, we should know that unless we follow the recommendations of the previous Acharyas, success cannot be attained. Dear devotees, all the previous devotees who followed this path have been able to attain success. So let's take the royal highway of success and not become hatadharmis, stubborn, and say that I will make my own new path. We have to follow the path that the Acharyas have made for us. That is the royal highway of progress that they have made. What is Smaran Dasha? The Smaran Dasha consists of 5 substages. What are the 5 substages? Smaran, Dharana, Dhyan, Anusmriti, and Samadhi. Srila Prabhupada has also explained these 5 in his commentary to Nectar of Instruction. But I am explaining these through the commentary of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur because he is the first one who put it in his commentary on the Upadeshamritam. What is Smaran? He says Smaran refers to remembrance with interruptions and disturbances. In the beginning, when I start remembering Shri Krishna Lila, obviously there are disturbances, the phone rings, somebody calls me, interruptions are there. But this doesn't deter me from the practice of daily Smaran. Because some people are so puritanical about their Smaran. Unless I become perfect, I will not engage in Smaran. Sorry, this is an incorrect conception. Smaran has to be performed even if there are interruptions and disturbances. So the first stage is Smaran. Even if there are disturbances, please start engaging in daily culture of Smaran. Rameshwar Mahaprabhu Prabhu, International Society for Krishna
Consciousness.
Wonderful. Consciousness. What is the function of consciousness? What does consciousness do?
Being aware of something.
Smaran. Basically, it remembers. It feels. it becomes aware of something. The name of the society has Smaran embedded in it. So therefore, it's very important that devotees who wish to advance should follow the path of Smaran, even if it means beginning with interruptions and disturbances. Today, if I try to remember something from Sri Krishna Lila, and this remembrance has to be done according to the authorized literature, that is Srimad Bhagavatam, Gopal Champu, Anand Vrindavan Champu, etc. First literature is Srimad Bhagavatam. So when we begin remembering Sri Krishna Lila, so the framework of Bhava Vrindavan, as I said, the Vrindavan has to be first and foremost created in the mind by the instructions of the previous acharyas. So this Bhava Vrindavan is created by studying the 10th canto, dear devotees, or the Krishna book. And when we study the Krishna book or the 10th canto, this framework named Bhava Vrindavan develops within our mind. And sometimes there is interruption. Sometimes there are doubts. We have to resolve all these doubts by asking our Gurujanas. Especially, I said previously, we should have one Gurujana who is an Uttam Adhikari capable of destroying these doubts. So remembrance with interruptions and disturbances begins. Gradually, the devotee attains the second stage, dharana. Remembrance happens, but the devotee knows now I don't have to get disturbed. The devotee, whenever he starts remembering Bhagwan, he keeps aside all disturbances, focuses his or her mind, and is able to perform remembrance without disturbance for a good amount of time. This stage is called dharana. The third stage is called dhyan. Now the devotee is becoming siddhahasta. Siddhahasta means perfected gradually in constant deep meditation on Krishna and Krishna's associates. Now the personal feelings of the devotee are beginning to get involved in Shri Krishna Lila, dear devotees. And the first stage, personal feelings were not so much involved. Not even in the second stage. In the third stage, the devotee starts feeling Krishna Lila, concentrated focus, and he starts feeling, identifying. He starts taking sides in Krishna Lila. This person is my favorite. I love this person. This person's mood towards Shri Krishna is so nice. But how will that happen unless we hear Krishna Lila? It cannot happen in a blank mind, dear devotees. It's very important to hear Krishna Lila from authorized literature, authorized sources, in order to reach this particular stage. Then, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, comes the stage of Anusmriti, spontaneous meditation that starts happening all the time. Anusmriti. One time, somebody came to Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj and said to Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, now at that time what had happened, the British government had, stopped the use of all old style of coins and introduced new currency notes. So somebody came to Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj and said, oh, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, do you know what the government did? So his reply, what did Govardhan do? So they were speaking about government, and this personality is immersed in Govardhan. So his feelings have become attached to Shri Krishna Lila. He is now in a stage of constant remembrance, Anusmriti. All the time. He is spontaneously, anything he is able to connect to Shri Krishna Lila. And finally, when this Anusmriti continues, he goes to Samadhi. Samadhi is complete, unobstructed, one-pointed Anusmriti where only the object of the meditation, Shri Krishna, remains in one's mind. Shri Krishna and Shri Krishna's associates remain in the mind and nothing else remains in the mind. This is the stage at which the devotee is supposed to quit their body. They are supposed to quit their body in the stage of Samadhi. So this is what it is. Smaran, Dharana, Dhyan, Anusmriti, Samadhi. This is which dasha? Smaran dasha. I'll go back. See, first was Shravan dasha. Hear Krishna Lila nicely. Krishna's forms, Krishna's names, pastimes nicely. Varan dasha. Describe them to others nicely. Because you have voluntarily accepted them. You have faith in them. Third is Smaran dasha. Naturally, you will start reminiscing them. And this reminiscence is in 5 stages. Smaran, Dharana, Dhyan, Anusmriti and Samadhi. After that, he says, after Smaran Dasha is perfected, the sadhak attains Apana Dasha, the stage of attainment of one's spiritual identity. At this stage, Krishna himself blesses the sadhaka with the perfected identity that the sadhak had a desire for. The sadhak has a specific desire, Krishna knows that desire, and Krishna blesses the sadhaka with that identity. Here some devotees have a misconception. What if Krishna wants me to do something else? That's it, like this. Maybe I aspired for something else and Krishna wanted me to do something else. What about that? So dear devotees, it is not like that. Krishna is Atmaram. All his desires are satisfied already. He desires what you desire towards him. Nityo nityanam chetanas chetananam eko bahunam yo vidadhati kaman. He fulfills our desire. He has no desire remaining. His desires are already fulfilled and he is very happy to fulfill the desire that the jiva has developed towards himself. Because many times, devotees are trained in such a manner like, people are trained in the military. Rameshwar Mahaprabhu, Prabhu, don't think what you can do, what the country can do for you, but think what you can do for the country. Have you heard this statement, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
So a similar statement is made in the circle of devotees. Don't think how you will love Krishna. Think how Krishna wants you to serve him. Hare Baba, it's not the military. And Krishna is not the leader of, a military nation. That Krishna doesn't care for our choices. Krishna cares a lot for our choices. Krishna cares a lot for how we want to love him. Therefore, dear devotees, it's very important that we develop our individual spiritual personality in relationship with Sri Krishna. And that should be natural, innate, not under somebody's pressure, not under, some peer pressure. Oh, this rasa is the best, so you should also come to this rasa. No. What is your innate nature? Identifying that will take a lot of time in the Shravan Dasha, in the Varan Dasha. It will take a lot of time in the Smaran Dasha too. Identifying what is our innate nature requires a thorough practice of Shravan Dasha, Varan Dasha, Smaran Dasha. So once one is thoroughly practiced in this, that devotee will be able to understand what it is, what mood is most suitable for my nature towards Shri Krishna. That is the culture that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur wishes to promote. A very nice way of attaining spiritual identity. Then he says, after Apan Dasha, the sadhak automatically attains Sampatti Dasha, final attainment of being situated as an eternal associate of Krishna in Nitya Lila, eternally ongoing pastime. This is the perfection of life of the sadhaka. Now, he makes a very important note. When the devotee on path of Vaidhi Bhakti, because most of us are following Vaidhi Bhakti and then we will go, oh, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, you are giving such lofty concepts. How will we reach this stage? So he says, when the devotee on the path of Vaidhi Bhakti gives up material desires and takes seriously to the instructions of a bona fide Guru and pure Vaishnavas, he develops the stage of Ruchi. On this stage, he gives up the path of Vaidhi Bhakti and enters into Raganuga Bhakti. So very important to give up the path of Vaidhi and enter into Raganuga Bhakti at some point of time. Otherwise, it is not possible to enter into eternal Vrindavan. Eternal Vrindavan is not possible for those who are practicing Krishna Bhakti through the path of Vaidhi Bhakti. It is not possible. It is the clear opinion of all the previous acharyas that you need to have a special type of bhakti, and that bhakti is called as Raganuga Bhakti. What is Raganuga Bhakti? Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur begins to explain. Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu, now we are beginning to explain Raganuga Bhakti, but for that, first and foremost, we need to understand what is Rag. Because the first term in Raganuga Bhakti is Rag. So what is the meaning of the term Raga? Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu, can you give me do you have some conception of the term Raga?
The generic meaning is attachment.
Yes. In Bhagavad Gita, Draga Dvesha has been used for attachment and repulsion. So generic meaning is attachment. Now, in the context of Goloka Vrindavan, the term Raga has a very specific meaning, and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur quotes Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. इष्टे स्वारसिकी रागः परमाविष्टता भवेत् तन्मयीया भवेत् भक्तिः सात्र रागात्मिकोदिता. He says, Ishte. What is raga? Ishte swarasiki paramavishtata. Raga is swarasiki, swabhaviki. Swarasiki means swabhaviki, according to one's innate nature, not according to public opinion, not according to what my senior devotee said. According to, the innate attraction and the supreme absorption, paramavishtata, towards Krishna, that occurs naturally in the eternal residents of Vraja, in their respective relationships with him. That variety of bhakti which is replete with such raga is called Ragatmika Bhakti. So there is a bhakti which exists in the eternal associates of Krishna. Their spontaneous, natural attachment, attraction towards Krishna is called Raga Atmika. Raga is their natural, spontaneous attachment to Krishna. And Atmika, the bhakti whose very essence, whose Atma is such raga, is called Ragatmika Bhakti. Now let me explain through a very simple example. Prabhu, you see a painting of Goloka Vrindavan. Prabhu, there are many individual devotees here. Some devotees are in the mood of dasya, service. Do they have raga, natural, innate attraction towards Krishna, Prabhu? Yes or no?
Yes.
In which mood?
Dasya.
Dasya. So their bhakti will be known by which name?
Dasya rasa.
But is that their raga, their bhakti is called Raga Atmika Bhakti, which means this bhakti exists only in the eternal associates of Shri Krishna. Some are sakhas, sakhyaras. You can see how they are looking towards Shri Krishna. Shri Krishna is getting such nice things to eat. I wish I could also steal something from him. So dear Prabhus, this is Sakhyarati. They also have raga. And their bhakti is also Ragatmika Bhakti. Some are Vatsalya. They also have raga. Deep attachment to Krishna. Their bhakti is also Ragatmika Bhakti. So this raga, natural, innate attraction is existing in Vrajavasi Janas. And bhakti which they are performing, which is replete with such raga. Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu, what is the name of that bhakti?
Ragatmika.
Can this bhakti be possible in a person who has not yet attained Goloka Vrindavan?
No.
What is the reason?
You have to have a spiritual body.
That's one good reason. Another reason?
Has to be given by Krishna.
Okay. Another reason, you have to be situated in a blood relationship with Krishna. Blood relationship is a very material term, but you have to be situated in a direct family-like relationship with Krishna. Which are we situated with him right now in this position?
No.
So when we take birth in Krishna's pastimes, where Krishna's pastimes are going on, and when we grow up with him, that is when the blood relationship is established. And now this term I'm using just to make things more clear. The by blood relationship, I mean family relationship or loving relationship is established. And that time, the eternal associates of Krishna, we become an eternal associate, and then we have Ragatmika Bhakti. Right now, we cannot have Ragatmika Bhakti because we are not situated in a direct family or loving relationship with Shri Krishna. So a devotee who has that bhakti is called Ragatmika Bhakta, eternal associate who has that rag. Now comes a sadhaka, a practitioner, who wishes to follow in the footsteps of these devotees. Alright? After Shravan Dasha, Svaran Dasha, Smaran Dasha, he realizes, actually, I am best situated. My favorite individual is this Sakha, is this friend of Shri Krishna. I wish to emulate his mood. So he is emulating a Ragatmika Bhakta. He is emulating an eternal associate. His bhakti becomes known as which bhakti? Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu Prabhu.
Raga Anuga.
Ah, wonderful. Anuga means that which is following in the footsteps of a Ragatmika Bhakta. So, Raga, Atmika, Anuga, iti Raganuga. So, that which is following in the mood of a Ragatmika Bhakta is called as Raganuga Bhakti. Can this bhakti be practiced in our current body, Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu Prabhu?
Yes.
Wonderful. So, as a sadhaka, as a practitioner in the current body, there is one variety of bhakti that we can practice, that is called Raganuga Bhakti. And this bhakti means to follow in the mood and footsteps of a Ragatmika Bhakta, an eternal associate who has raga or who has deep, innate, eternal attachment towards Shri Krishna. So this is the type of bhakti which is recommended for those who wish to attain Goloka Vrindavan. No other type of bhakti will help us attain Goloka Vrindavan. And if anybody has any misconceptions about this, they should directly read Chaitanya Charitamrita, where it is said, and I have pointed this out many times, that it is not possible to attain Goloka Vrindavan through Vaidhi Bhakti. This is the verse which I have pointed out many number of times, and I am pointing out today. Sthuna Nikhanana Nyaya, hammering the pillar again and again in the ground by speaking of those same things. Sakala Jagata More Kare Vidhi Bhakti. Vidhi Bhakti Vraja Bhava Paite Nahi Shakti. Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu, please read the translation by Srila Prabhupada and the ones which I have highlighted.
It's just the highlight part?
Yeah.
Okay. But simply by following such regular principles, one cannot attain the loving sentiments of the devotees in Vrajabhumi.
Whose translation is it, Prabhu?
Srila Prabhupada.
So the Siddhanta is very clearly given by him. It's very clear. There are no shortcuts, dear devotees, and anybody who's trying to make a shortcut, please be very careful. Because the way described by Srila Rupa Goswami is very clear that Vaidhi Bhakti, or simply by following, regulated devotional service according to the rules and regulations of Shastra, is not going to help in attainment of this type of bhakti. No matter 100 people tell us, no, please don't worry, you will attain. It is not going to happen, and we should not keep ourselves in a fool's paradise. It will only be attained if we follow a very specific type of bhakti. And the name of that specific type of bhakti is called Raganuga Bhakti. And this type of bhakti means to emulate the mood and the feelings of an eternal associate of Sri Krishna who already has Ragatmika Bhakti. This is what it is. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur again quotes Chaitanya Charitamrita. Ragamai Bhakti Hai Ragatmika Nam Taha Shuni Laudha Hai Kon Bhagyavan Lobhe Vraja Vasir Bhave Kare Anugati Shastra Yukti Nahi Mane Raganugar Priti. Ragamai Bhakti Hoy Ragatmika Nam. That bhakti which is replete with rag is called Ragatmika Bhakti. This bhakti is only with the eternal associates. Hearing of such Ragatmika Bhakti, a fortunate soul develops lobha, intense desire to attain it. This, dear devotees, this is the qualification to attain Raganuga Bhakti. What I have highlighted here in bold, Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu Prabhu, what is the qualification to attain Raganuga Bhakti?
Tatralayam api mulyam ekalam.
Yes.
It's greed.
It's greed, that intense burning desire in the heart that I will do anything needed to attain this. It cannot be spoon-fed. There's some people, Prabhu, what should I do? Please tell me next, what should I do? Sorry, then you do not have the mindset for Raganuga Bhakti. If you have to be spoon-fed, then you are not a candidate for Raganuga. You have to have that burning desire. Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu, I'll give you a very simple example. Okay, I'll first read this and then I'll give you a simple example. Out of such lobha, he says, this fortunate soul follows in the footsteps of the Vrajavasis. Following in such footsteps is known as Raga Anuga Bhakti. And this variety of bhakti does not expect scriptural injunctions, which means this type of bhakti expects you to follow in the footsteps of the eternal residents of Vraja, and scriptural injunctions are there, but they take a secondary role in this type of. I'll give a very simple example. Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu, suppose you have to cultivate a very special type of dry fruit. You might have heard of it. It's called Brazilian nut. Have you heard Brazilian nut?
Yes, Prabhu.
One of the most expensive dry fruits available on the planet, and it grows in very special condition. The plant takes 15 to 20 years to grow. Now, suppose you have a business idea. You wish to grow Brazilian nut, but the conditions are not so favorable in the United States. They're favorable in Brazil, maybe, but not so favorable in the United States. Now you want to grow, and you are absolutely dedicated to growing this. So Prabhu, what will you have to do in order to grow such a rare variety of fruit in your particular area where it is difficult to grow it? What will you do?
Cultivate the grounds.
Okay. But a single mistake and the end result will not be attained. First and foremost, you will have to do something. What will you have to do?
Move to Brazil.
Oh, of course. That's a good idea. That's also recommended.
I'm missing the answer you're looking for, Prabhuji.
Okay. The first thing is to understand the entire process nicely. If you do not understand the entire process nicely, and if you make a mistake, then 15 or 20 years of effort will be gone and we will not have a single Brazilian nut with us. And the process is misunderstood by listening to hearsay. You know what is hearsay, Prabhu?
Yes.
So unless we follow the exact path that is given by the previous acharyas, there is a good chance that we might end up making an error. And making an error means losing 15 or 20 years of your precious time. The path given is very clear. There are eternal associates of Sri Krishna who have Ragatmika Bhakti. On repeatedly going through Shravan Dasha, Varan Dasha, only a fortunate soul, not everybody, only a fortunate soul will develop lobha, the desire to attain it. Out of such lobha, this fortunate soul will follow in the footsteps of those Vrajavasis and will develop Raganuga Bhakti. This is the conclusion given, and he quotes, and he further quotes how to execute this bhakti. How does such a person who has lobha, how does he live? Bahya antara ihar duita sadhana bahye sadhak dehe kare shravan kirtana mane nija siddha deha kariya bhavana ratri dine kare vraje krishna rasevana. He says there are two sadhanas on this path. Till now, he was performing only one sadhana. That is through his sadhaka body. He was performing his hearing, chanting, etc. Now there are two sadhanas. Through the external body, the practitioner eligible for Raganuga Bhakti performs the same activities of Vaidhi Bhakti, Shravan, Kirtan, etc. In the mind, however, he is staying in Bhava Vrindavan, as I told. He is not staying here. In the mind, he is staying in Bhava Vrindavan. He conceives of, the same sadhaka conceives of the perfected Siddha Deha, transcendental body. In this way, service to Krishna is rendered day and night. So dear devotees, this is for that person who has become very fortunate and has attained the required qualification for Raganuga Bhakti. In one word, Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu, what is the required qualification for Raganuga Bhakti?
Lobha.
Lobha, the intense greed. No other qualification. Let nobody fool you into giving any other qualification. No, following the principles for 20 years. Sorry, that is not the qualification. Oh, becoming a very strict renunciate. Sorry, that is also not the qualification. There's only one qualification given in Shastra, and that is Lobha. All other qualifications are secondary. The primary qualification is Lobha. And a person who does not have Lobha will not be able to enter even after having any other so-called qualification. The primary qualification to enter into this type of bhakti is lobha, intense desire to get the mood of an existing eternal associate of Shri Krishna. He also quotes the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. Seva sadhaka rupena siddha rupena chatrahi. Tad bhava lipsuna karya vrajalokanusarata. Same thing which he spoke in the previous slide. Service is rendered simultaneously through the body of a sadhaka, through the practitioner's body, hearing, chanting, and internally through the body of a siddha. In the mind, he stays in Bhava Vrindavan. These two services are respectively carried out according to the perfected sadhakas and siddhas of Vraja. So this is very clearly Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur has mentioned. And he again quotes, Nijabhishta Krishna Preshta Pacheta Lagiya, Nirantara Seva Kare Antar Manahaya. Actually, the inhabitants of Vrindavan are very dear to Krishna. If one wants to engage in spontaneous loving service, Raganuga Bhakti, he must follow an inhabitant of Vrindavan and constantly engage in devotional service within the mind. All these are from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is merely quoting them in his commentary to Śrī-Upadeśāmṛtam. This is not the Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur we have popularly seen or we have popularly heard about. We have popularly heard or seen him explaining the vidhis. Finally, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, and this is the final slide for today, the essence is that one should meditate on Krishna. This is the essence, dear devotees. Let nobody else fool you. The essence is that one should perform smaran on Krishna and those Vrajavasis dear to Krishna according to one's mood. According to the same mood, one should hear Katha of Vraja. A devotee in Shantara should follow in the footsteps of the flute, cows, etc. Those in Dasyara should follow in the footsteps of servants of Krishna such as Raktak, Patrak, etc. Those in Sakhyara should follow in the footsteps of Sri Balram, Sri Dama, etc. Those in Vatsalyara should follow in the footsteps of Nanda, Yashoda, etc. And those in Madhurya should follow in the footsteps of Sri Radha, Lalita, etc. How will we know we are in which ras? Go through the stages. Shravan Dasha, Varan Dasha, Smaran Dasha. And go through them confidently knowing that the Acharyas have given you these stages. By the time you enter into Smaran Dasha, your inclinations will gradually start becoming clear. Please do not worry. First go through the stages. Do not worry about what my inclination is. Go through the stages. It will become clear, dear devotees. With this, I pause my speech for today. This was just the beginning. We have started scratching the surface of the 8th verse, dear devotees. Yadatra skhalitam kinchit vidvamsah purayantu tat. Yadatra saushthavam kinchit tad kuroreva me nahi. Yadatra skhalitam kinchit. If there's any mistake in what I said, vidvamsah, you're all learned devotees, purayantu tat. Please correct any mistakes. Yadatra saushthavam kinchit. If there's anything nice, please remember, tad guroreva. All of this came from the Gurujanas. Me nahi. None of this came from me. Thank you very much, dear devotees. Thank you, Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for pioneering this topic. And we're going to go now to questions and answers.
Sure.
So,
Before we begin, please know that this series on Śrī-Upadeśāmṛtam is not dedicated to the promotion or criticism of any institution or individual. It is institution neutral, individual neutral, and it is meant to facilitate the study of Srila Rupa Goswami's Upadeshamritam from all possible points of view. And please, when you are asking a query, please make sure that the query is pertinent to the topic that was covered today. And please make sure that there are no institutions or individuals dragged negatively in it. And please try to ask one question at a time. If you wish to ask a second question, please go round robin and wait for your turn. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. We'll begin with Madhav Tripati Prabhu.
Yes, one more thing. Please keep the camera stable. Because if we say like this, Hare Krishna Prabhu, then it's very disturbing for everybody to see. So please keep the camera stable if possible.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Madhav Tripati Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanavad Pranam. Thank you so much for this wonderful class and covering such a deep topic. It is like really wonderful and really out of the box. So, Prabhuji, I had a very small query about you mentioned that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur mentioned this qualification to enter into Raganuga Bhajan is basically to be free from material desires in a way. So, what does this exactly mean? Like, what does it mean to gain ruchi? So, to gain ruchi, we have to be free from material desires. So, what does it exactly mean to be like free from material desires? Which desires and like how should it be?
No. His intention of saying is that anybody who is fortunate, a fortunate devotee, will automatically give up material desires because he has that lobha within him. And because of that lobha, he will automatically give up material desires. He is not saying that first give up material desires, in return you will get lobha. There is no fixed formula for getting lobha. So if somebody thinks I will now give up my material desires and then I will get lobha, sorry, that is not the case. Lobha is something which comes through one's good fortune, through the bhakti that one has executed in this life and previous lives, and through the association of devotees. Now, after getting lobha, a devotee will do whatever is needed to get to that stage. If it means getting rid of all material desires, the devotee is happily willing to do that. As I told you, the example of growing a very rare variety of Brazilian nut. If you are really determined to do it, you will take all the steps needed. But you should have that lobha, that very deep desire that I wish to grow this nut after 15 or 20 years of, tapasya. So if somebody has that lobha, I wish to develop this specific type of bhakti of the mood of a Vrajavasi. They will take all the steps, and obviously giving up material desires is one of those steps. So it is not listed as a pre-qualification. It is listed as somebody who becomes interested towards Raganuga Bhakti, gives up all material desires, then he shifts from Vaidhi Bhakti to Raganuga Bhakti gradually, makes the transition and proceeds in that direction. That is what he is saying. Right?
So, Prabhuji, it's a shift of focus, right?
It's a shift of focus. It's a shift of attitude on the path of bhakti.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you so much.
Next we have Vishwadeep Roy Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam for such a nice class. I have a question on the part you say we have divided the jivas into two parts according to Jiva Goswami's Vaishnav Tosani. One is Tatastha and one is Lila Anta Patinaha. And I have also studied from you only that the energies of Vishnus are divided into three parts, and one of that is Tatastha. So my question is that the Mukta Jiva who are in Leela already, are they not part of Tatastha, or is it a different realm of categorization?
This is a different
So
type
that is
of
my question.
categorization, and the terminology
It is
is
this different
different
dimension.
type of categorization. This is a different type of
Yeah.
categorization. Right? So that is the answer to your query. Please don't take that categorization of Antaranga, Bahiranga, and Tatastha and take that Tatastha to mean this Tatastha. This Tatastha has a different meaning. This Tatastha this categorization was given to explain the categories of devotees, not only the categories of energy, only the categories of devotees. And therefore, this is a different categorization. Right?
Next we have Tanvi Desai Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanvatranam. Thank you so much. So Prabhuji emphasized on Smaranam. So my question was that how exactly should we do Smaranam? Because what we see gets more in our mind. So even if it's the form of Krishna or the form of like the Braj we see, that gets more in our mind. So we see so many pictures of Krishna in various books and also like on videos. So how should we do it? When we hear lectures, we have a different form and various versions of descriptions we find about the form of Krishna. So how should we do Smaranam?
I told you that I used a very specific term called as Bhava Vrindavanam. You have to create what is known as Bhava Vrindavanam. But this is only for somebody who has attained the eligibility for Raganuga Bhakti. This is only for somebody who has the lobha for Raganuga Bhakti. But I told you for that, first and foremost, you have to go through some stages. Which is the first stage?
Shravanadasha.
Shravanadasha. You have to hear about Krishna's name, form, qualities, pastimes from authorized literature. How will you create Bhava Vrindavan? I will give an example of this in upcoming talks, wherein I will give the conception of Sri Vrindavan that the previous acharyas have given. A small taste of what Shravanadasha looks like. So we will get a small glimpse of what Bhava Vrindavanam, what is the Vrindavan that the acharyas wanted to be created in our hearts and minds. Now, this Bhava Vrindavan cannot be created simply by hearing somebody's opinion. It has to be created by, it has to be made by hearing from the authorized literature of the previous acharyas. So that is your source of authentic Vrindavan. How do you know that the description of Vrindavan you are hearing is authentic or not? How do you test it?
If it supports the scriptures.
If it has come from an authentic source. Which is the authentic source that we have for Krishna Lila?
The Puranas and the scriptures, which the Bhakti Shastras, which are written by our acharyas.
That is your first resort for developing Bhava Vrindavana. But for that, you have to undergo a thorough culture of Shravanadasha in those literature. First and foremost being the Srimad Bhagavatam, then the literature written by the previous acharyas such as Gopal Champu, Anand Vrindavan Champu, etc. So once one is trained in that, because it's not going to be a very easy task to create that Bhava Vrindavanam. It's only for somebody who's determined to do it. It's not for everybody. So if one is determined, one will go properly through Shravanadasha, Varanadasha. That is the answer.
So right now, Smaranam should not be practiced, or like what should be?
Smaran requires purification of mind. Right now, Shravan should be practiced for somebody who is new. That is what it is. For somebody who is in the initial stages, direct Smaran is not recommended because the mind is not capable of even the first stage. First, let's say today you decide I want to remember Krishna. Where is the framework? Where does Krishna stay?
Vrindavan.
Describe Vrindavan.
Can't describe.
Why?
Because we have not seen it, and
wonderful. First thing is to Shravanadasha. Without having been thoroughly trained in Shravanadasha, it is impossible to even begin conceiving of these things. Okay. Otherwise, we will think Vrindavan means that concrete jungle which exists right now. That is not what the acharyas wanted us to think. That is the answer to your query. All right?
Thank
you.
Next, we have Jai Dwarka Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Prabhuji. Thank you once again for another amazing katha, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, my question was from this point where you said that the intense greed is the actually eligibility for Raganuga Bhakti. So my point was that, Prabhuji, does this has anything to do with anarthas of the person? That is it possible that a person with too much of anarthas is having at the same time intense greed, and those anarthas are to the extent that he is not able to overcome that? Is it possible?
See, both Vaidhi Bhakti and Raganuga Bhakti are known as Sadhana Bhakti. You might have heard of these things. Vaidhi is also Sadhana Bhakti, Raganuga is also Sadhana Bhakti. What is the meaning of Sadhana Bhakti, Prabhu?
Kriti sadhya bhavit sadha bhava sa sadhana vira. That which generates sadhana, bhav bhakti.
Which means right now is the bhav generated?
No, Prabhuji.
No. So if the bhav is not generated, which means he is currently in the practicing stage. Which means even if he has lobha, he may have some particular anarthas till the time he reaches bhava or prema. But he has the lobha. By previous association or current association, he has that.
Okay. So is he qualified in that case, even with anarthas, to practice Raganuga Bhakti?
See, the thing is, if we put a qualification that only those who are free from anarthas can practice Raganuga Bhakti, my question is, where is such a qualification given in Shastra?
But Prabhuji, in such case, everybody would like to claim to be at that level, and that would create a mess in the society.
Therefore, it is not for everybody. Therefore, it is not for everybody. Therefore, it is very important that the culture of Shravan Dasha, the culture of Smaran Dasha, Varan Dasha should be cultivated in a very nice manner. I will give you a very nice example of this. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, there is a commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam at the end of the Rasa Lila. There is a commentary on a particular verse. See here, Prabhuji. I will quote the verse, I will show you the verse, and then you can. So this is the verse. Vikriditam Vrajavadhu Biridam cha Vishnu Shraddhan Vitonu Shunayadhatha Varna Yedya Bhaktim Param Bhagavati Pratilabhya Kamam Hridrogam Ashu Apahinoti Achirena Dhira. Prabhuji, kindly read the translation.
Prabhuji, actually, because of my internet, I'm not able to see your screen.
Okay. Anyone who faithfully hears or describes the Lord's playful affairs with the young gopis of Vrindavan will attain the Lord's pure devotional service. First thing is this will happen. Thus, he will quickly become sober and conquer lust, the disease of the heart. So, conquering of lust is an effect of this bhakti or is the cause of this bhakti?
Is the effect, Prabhuji.
Then why are we putting the cart before the horse?
But Prabhuji, just like in previous answer, you said that because he is ready to give up anything for that, even his material desires also, he will immediately give up that.
Wonderful,
but
yeah.
in this case, he is not able to give up that.
So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says in the commentary, and I have highlighted the commentary here, Ityatra tva pratyena pratilabhya hridrogavati eva adhikarani paramaya api tasya prathamameva praveshas. So even if a person has hriday rog, some disease in the heart, some anarthas in the heart, he gets an entry. Tatastayaiva parama swatantraya kamadinam apagamascha. And by the practice of that bhakti, immediately he gives up very quickly. Tesham kadachit satvepi. Even if sometimes there is some, trace of negative qualities. Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Api chet suduracharo bhajate mam. Iti badhyamanopi mad bhakta. Many verses he quotes. Iti adhibhyasta dvatam cha na kwapi shastresu ninda leshopi. Even the shastras will not criticize such a person. So it's very clear that the devotee enters with a certain amount of anarthas, later clears them up.
Okay. So once he has started following a Ragatmika Bhakta, then in such case, even though he may be having a lot of material desire, at the same time he is having intense desire, intense greed for Raganuga Bhakti. So that association of that Ragatmika Bhakta will immediately free him from those material desires. Is it what you are trying to say?
No, he cannot associate with a Ragatmika, but following in the mood of a Ragatmika Bhakta will free him from those desires.
Yes. Okay. Please. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Please read the commentary of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur on 10.33.39. It will be clear, absolutely clear.
Okay, Prabhuji. Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Next we have Samarpana Gopa Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
My pranam.
Prabhuji, my question is about you were showing Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's commentary and that Sanskrit where I
Please
perceived...
speak closer to the mic or louder, please. It's very hard to hear you.
Oh yeah, I'm going closer. Is it different now? Is it better?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. So you showed understanding the commentary and Vrajastha Leelantaha Patina. So in that I perceived 3 stages. One is Ragatmika Bhakta, that is Vrindavan Vasi, and then there is one who follows that, and then I or a sadhaka is there. So that's what I perceived in this particular slide.
Yes, so that is what from Sri Radharaman Goswami. not from Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. His recommendation is to take a guru who is already following Ragatmika Bhakta and to emulate the mood of such a guru. That is also okay. Or Rupa Goswami's recommendation is directly emulate a Ragatmika Bhakta. That is also okay.
Okay, so both are there.
Yeah.
What is recommended, but like in general?
I will not constantly spoon feed you. I told you. This is where you have to do the research. I will take you to a certain point. But what should I do next, Prabhuji? No, you have not understood. Right.
Greed has to come.
Huh?
Greed has to come, then it will.
By developing Shravan Dasha, things will become very clear. We have to study Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, etc. to understand these things.
Yes. Can I ask a follow-up question on the previous discussion where you were asking?
We'll come back to you, Prabhuji. We would like to have people ask one question, then come back. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Next we have Bhavya Bhagavan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much for your class, Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji, I heard in a lecture that I think Surudas sings in a pad that, my dear Lord, you please put me in that rasa in which you feel there is some void. I mean, you want to have me there, something like that. So, Prabhuji, that is also I've heard ki we want to be in that particular rasa which Krishna likes. So how do we, I mean, you throw some light on it already, but I wanted to understand like this sentiment which Surdas is expressing. How can we understand this, Prabhuji?
So I have not seen the original of what Sri Surdas wrote. He is very respectable personality in the Pushti Marga Sampradaya. And I have not, if it would be nice if I could get to see the original that he wrote. But even let's assume that he has written such a sentiment, oh Lord, put me wherever there is a void. From a tattva point of view, we know that there is no void in the spiritual world. The spiritual world cannot be a place where there is some void. So a spiritual world is already perfect. And in perfection, we join that perfection according to the desire that we have developed by going through the stages of Shravana Dasha, Varana Dasha, Smarana Dasha. That is the path recommended by Srila Rupa Goswami. That's the royal highway. Some devotee who is very respected like Sri Surdas might have made a statement like that. But that statement cannot be taken as an indicator of an entire bhajan pranali, of entire process of bhajan. The entire bhajan pranali is given in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. And that is the royal highway of progress for the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. That is my answer to your query.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Makes sense. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Next we have Kripa Rama Prabhu.
Bandavas, Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Thanks for your time. I have one question. The last year, for the mercy of Lord Krishna, I had the opportunity to stay in Vraja in the Kartik. And before I go out to start my Kartik Vrata, I read some verbs in the Vrindavan Mahamrita and try to meditate in the Aprakrit or the real Vrindavan. Because it's very difficult, in Vrindavan, a lot of auto rickshaws, a lot of noise, a lot of animals, and a lot of people, a lot of pollution. Do you have another advice to have a nice parikram, a nice Kartik Vrata, and meditate in the Aprakrit Vrindavan, in the real Vrindavan?
Okay, wonderful. So the thing is, before we go to Sri Vrindavan through this body, it's important to also develop Bhava Vrindavan in the mind. Now, previously, when people used to go to Vrindavan, people used to walk to Vrindavan. And it was, you didn't have flights, or you didn't have trains, etc. People used to walk to Vrindavan. Now, there is a very special thing about walking to Vrindavan. When somebody walks for many days or months to reach Sri Vrindavan, He first reaches Vrindavan in the mind and then reaches through the body. So his mind reaches 1 week before his body when he's walking. But when we take a flight to Sri Vrindavan, the body reaches 1 week before the mind. The mind is still in Colombia or, wherever we are. And then after 1 week, the mind arrives in Sri Vrindavan. It's important that months before we go to Sri Vrindavan, we should prepare our mind by reading literature of our parampara such as Gopal Champu, Anand Vrindavan Champu, etc. and have a framework of Sri Vrindavan. When many people go to Sri Vrindavan, they want to indulge in tourism. What is tourism? Oh, I covered this spot, I touched that spot, I touched this spot, I touched that spot, I did this, I did it. Govardhan check, Barsana check, everything checked. But are they present within the mind? No, they're not present within the mind. So then as soon as one comes out of that Vrindavan, one comes with a disturbed frame of mind because, oh, so much pollution, so much disturbance, so much problems. This is not the Vrindavan I wish to stay in. Obviously, the Acharyas designed another Vrindavan, which is called Bhava Vrindavan. And this Vrindavan can be conceptualized in the mind even when you're staying in Colombia. You stay in Colombia, right, Prabhu?
Yes, that's right.
It can be conceptualized even when you're staying in Colombia. All you need to have is a very peaceful environment for studying the works of the previous acharyas, an environment free of disturbance, and a favorable way of living where you can practice your bhajan nicely. And once you go to Sri Vrindavan, then you try to visit those places which are favorable for your meditation on the eternal pastimes of Shri Krishna. And you can go to Govardhan also, you can go to Barsana also, but you know that there is some disturbance involved in that because there's so much traffic, so much pollution, etc. But the main Vrindavan is Bhava Vrindavan. Because most of the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time used to stay in Navadvip, Jagannath Puri. Most of them had a chance to visit Vrindavan maybe only once, somebody not even once in their lives. But the Vrindavan which they created in was Bhava Vrindavan, the Vrindavan within their minds. So that Vrindavan is most essential to be created. So I hope that answers your query. And that preparation can begin even today. Okay, Vrindavan Mahimamrit is about the glories of Vrindavan. It's not about the structure, the layout, the mood of Sri Vrindavan so much. It's more about the glories of Vrindavan. The mood, method, structure of Sri Vrindavan, the seasons of Sri Vrindavan are described in other literature of the Acharyas. I'll touch upon those in coming sessions of Śrī-Upadeśāmṛtam. Let's have a small glimpse of Bhava Vrindavan. Right?
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
I'm going to pass off the hosting to Parama Karuna Prabhu, if that's okay with you, Prabhuji.
Sure, Prabhu, sure. Will you be back or is this it?
I have to help my wife with some service, so I'll have to listen to the recording.
Okay, sure. Thank you so much.
The Zoom meeting on.
Thank you so much,
Prabhuji. Very grateful.
Okay.
Let me make you co-host, Parama Karuna Prabhu.
Am I audible?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Next we have Anant Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandvat Pranams. Thank you for the class. My doubt is regarding in one of your previous presentations, you had specified that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not appear to give Shantaras.
Right.
And in the last slide, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur had mentioned that those who wish to attain Shantaras must follow in the footsteps of the devotees like the cows, flute, etc. So how should we understand this?
Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said this because Srila Rupa Goswami described it in Bhakti Rasamrita. But when you actually meet the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, in theory, if you want to attain Shantaras, you can follow those individuals. But in practice, when you meet the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, you will not find a tradition of cultivation of Shantaras in the existing Gaudiya Vaishnava community. So it exists only in theory, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never put it in practice. And in theory also, it exists in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And that is the reason why it was repeated in the Upadeshamritam commentary. But if you go in real life and if you try to find a Shanta Bhakta Gaudiya Vaishnava, you will not find a single one. So that is the answer to your query.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you. Mohit Deshmukh Prabhu did, I think he's asking first time. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Hare Krishna. So my question is, as once I have heard from you only or some other sadhu that in sadhaka deha we can't remember Krishna 24 hours a day, like can't chant his name or can't remember him. So like as you mentioned in samadhi avastha or samadhi stage, it is the complete remembrance, complete smaran and unobstructable smaran of Bhagavan Krishna. So how is it possible? Because it is not possible in sadhak dhyan. After samadhi we get sampatti dasha, means we Krishna gives us our eternal spiritual identity and siddha deha.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
But the meaning of Samadhi Dasha is that when, as soon as you remember Krishna, only Krishna and Krishna's associates are there in the mind, nobody else. And you can be in this Samadhi for a long duration of time. It is not specified that, when it says 24 hours or it says day and night, it means for extended periods of time. Obviously, as long as you are there in the sadhaka deha, you have to carry out bare minimum necessities of the body, or take care of the body. So even if somebody is in the samadhi stage, they will obviously have some time for maintaining their body. But when they take to their sadhana, they are one-pointed and completely absorbed. That is the meaning of samadhi dasha. That is the answer to your query.
And can you elaborate some thing on how we can't remember Krishna in the sadhaka deha, like constantly?
Let's say, let's say you have, it was said in that verse only, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said in which verse, Smartavya Satatam Vishnu. In the commentary I have shown many times, it is impossible to attain this for a newcomer, especially, and it's also difficult for those who are well practiced. So 24 hours means you are sleeping. At night you are sleeping. At night you are sleeping. Let's say in sleep you attain the stage of sushupti, deep sleep, where not even a tiny thought exists. How can you be in samadhi when you are in the state of sushupti?
We can't be.
So that's the answer to your query.
Yes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Kamaniya Krishna Prabhuji, please unmute.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanvat Pam to all the Vaishnavas, Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu and Param Karuna Prabhu. Thank you for organizing such a wonderful class on Obeisances. Prabhuji, yeah, a very interesting and very deep class. So Prabhuji, you covered when we were talking about Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's understanding. You mentioned that Shravan Dasha and then Varan Dasha and then Smaran, right? So Prabhuji, practically if we talk, right, we don't do Shravan all the time, right? So, and then probably Varan also. So is it something that after Shravan, Varan, then only the Smaran comes? Or that can come like simultaneously, or because our Shravan Dasha is very, maybe we hear for say half an hour, 1 hour, maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, not all the time. So does it mean that Smaran will never come to us?
No. What is the meaning of Shravan Dasha? Not only you hear from others, but you also hear from the authorized Shastra. You do your Swadhyaya also. You do your self-study also. Shravan Dasha helps you understand the entire abode of Shri Goloka Vrindavan. It helps you understand the mood of the residents of Goloka Vrindavan. That is all a part of Shravan Dasha. Gradually, when you understand all the literature, you become interested in speaking of them to others. You cannot contain it within yourself. So, you heard there are 6 eternal seasons in Sri Vrindavan. Those 6 eternal seasons are very special names, and I'll reveal those names. But I'm eager to speak to you because I have myself I've studied. So once you have studied, once you know from the authorized sources, you'll be eager to speak. That is which dasha?
Varan dasha.
Wonderful. Now, simply speaking will not be enough. You cannot describe to others unless you have a proper conception of it in your own mind. People will ask you doubts and you will have to clarify the doubts. How will you have a proper conception of that in your mind? You will have to go to which dasha?
Smaran. You have to remember those.
Yeah, obviously.
Okay, so it happens parallelly. It's not like one after another. Okay.
It's not that one day somebody will come and say, oh, today stop this dasha. Shravan dasha continues all the time. You don't stop hearing and reading. You don't stop doing kirtan. But simultaneously, at some point of time, the smaran begins. That's what it is.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Mihika Mataji. We can't hear you. Is there a mute on your microphone?
Prabhuji, can you hear me?
Yes, now.
Okay. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for the class. So I have one question that, like, does the chanting of the Mahamantra include in any of the dashas, or is it separate?
The chanting of Mahamantra is basically part of Nama Japa. So now here in this verse we are speaking about Kirtan. So Nama Kirtan. So Kirtan is a part of Varana Dasha. That is where it is. But Japa was not included in this because this verse Sukirtana Anusmritya. It's speaking of Kirtan. Kirtan is a part of Varana Dasha. So that was described by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So you will speak of names of Krishna to others. Did you hear this wonderful new name of Shri Krishna that I read today? So you will start describing like this to others. Let me give you an example of some very beautiful names of Shri Krishna. This is a very wonderful literature by Srila Sanatana Goswami. It is called Krishna Lila Stava. In Krishna Lila Stava, Sri Sanatana Goswami gives many beautiful names of Shri Krishna. I will give you an example of one of the beautiful names of Shri Krishna that Sri Sanatana Goswami gives in the Krishna Lila Stava. For example, let me specify here. So one of the names of Shri Krishna is Varuthapa Arjuna Sakha, which means basically the friend of the Sakhas named Varuthapa and Arjuna. Another name of Shri Krishna is Gopi Lobhanavesham. What is the meaning of Gopi Lobhanavesham? So the meaning of Gopi Lobhanavesham is he who dresses to entice the gopis. So in this way, there are many names also which you will speak. So this is a part of Kirtan, this is a part of Varana Dasha. That is the answer to your query.
Thank you very much, Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Ananga Mohan Prabhu. Please unmute.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thanks for another wonderful class. Prabhuji, regarding the Vraja, this Raganuga Bhakti and Ragatmika Bhakti is there. But for the other planets like Dwarika and Mathura and Ayodhya, there is also the relationship between the different associates of the Lord. So is there a type of Raganuga Bhakti for these planetary, or by the practice of the Vidhi Bhakti also, these planets can be reached?
There is a separate bhakti. The name is called Sambandhanuga. Sambandhanuga means bhakti in one of the relationships in Dwarka, etc. That's called Sambandhanuga. So that you'll have to study in Bhakti Rasamrita. That's one type of bhakti, Sambandhanuga. So in Sambandhanuga Bhakti also, many various types of relations. Sambandha means relations. So bhakti that follows a particular relationship with Shri Krishna. So there is some scope for that in Sambandhanuga Bhakti. But mainly, the entire course of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is is on Sri Vrindavan. Many people are of the opinion that all this Raganuga Bhakti is mainly restricted to Sri Vrindavan only. Outside Sri Vrindavan, it is Vaidhi Bhakti. So that is actually the prevalent opinion that outside Sri Vrindavan, there is mainly, Vaidhi Bhakti. Only Vaidhi Bhakti will help you reach outside Sri Vrindavan. And this Raganuga Bhakti is meant only and mainly for reaching Sri Vrindavan. So that is, the main essence of Sri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Because if you want to attain Goloka Vrindavan, you have to have Raganuga Bhakti. Dwarka can be attained by Vaidhi Bhakti. You can attain Dwarka by Vaidhi Bhakti also. So this is, let me give an example of this. Ramsam sushtu kurbanyo vidhi margena sevate kevalena vasatada mahishitvam yad pure. This is in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. That somebody who serves according to Vaidhi Bhakti, can become a Mahishi, can become a queen, Pure in Dwarka. So that is the meaning of that. So mainly Dwarka etc. is attained through Vaidhi Bhakti, and Goloka Vrindavan is attained through Raganuga Bhakti. That is what is given in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Right?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Next we have Radha Kund Mataji. Please unmute.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much. Prabhuji, I want to hear from you the literatures, names of the literatures of our previous acharyas, which can help us to, understand and relish the descriptions of Vrindavan and also the intimate pastimes of Radha and Krishna and gopis and, other devotees, Prabhuji. So could you please refer books, Prabhu, names of
I cannot give a general name of books for all intimate pastimes or something, because this is something which a sadhaka has to basically, the general list of books is for all the siddhanta of how rasa works, what is bhakti rasa. We have to understand Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. That's a very given fact. Besides Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it is also important to understand literature which are giving details of how to practice sadhana bhakti, how to practice raga bhakti. There are many literatures, but I will not specify any specific names. There are literature which are there, but these literature have to be understood from one's Guru Janas. A general list cannot be given in a public lecture, because these literature should only be accessed by somebody who has the required qualification, and the Guru has ascertained the qualification in the disciple. And after ascertaining, the Guru will automatically give the list of books to the disciple. But in general, for understanding what Sri Vrindavan is, Gopal Champu, Anand Vrindavan Champu, Srimad Bhagavatam 10th Canto, these are general list of books. In order to understand what is Bhakti Ras, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is the general book. These books are must. These books are like what you call primer. That's what you call, Param Karuna Prabhu? Primer?
Yeah, or the primary textbooks. And then we have...
Yeah, so the primary textbooks of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that one has to understand first and foremost. Because let's say, Mataji, tomorrow somebody will ask a query, what is rasa? Mataji, what is the answer?
Rasa that flows, which is the relationship with Krishna.
That is not the definition of rasa. That is not the definition given by Srila Rupa Goswami. Vibhavair anubhavaischa sattvikai vyabhicharibi. So rasa is basically, when sthai bhav is nourished by vibhav, anubhav, sattvic bhav, vyabhichari bhav, and that sthai bhav becomes ras. So we have to understand all the technical terms also in order to understand the rasa theory. So therefore it is said Gaudiya Vaishnavism is Sumedasa, for the most intelligent people. You have to be most intelligent in order to be able to understand the path. And therefore Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is the first textbook that one should know in order to know this path. So I hope that answers your query to some degree of satisfaction.
Yes, Prabhu, thank you so much. And hoping to hear Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu from you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Prabhuji, we have a couple of questions on the chat, because now all the hands are repeat. So would you like me to go to the devotees with hands, or just cover a couple of questions on the chat?
Let's do some questions from the chat.
Okay, Prabhuji. So one question we had from Vamshidhari Gopal Prabhu. So he's saying, I think you may have answered this in part, but I'll still, to be fair, bring it up. in Shravan Dasha to hear about Krishna forms, does it specifically mean Vrindavan pastimes only, or do they include his incarnations and devotees as well? So should we be very specific in our hearing to develop this dasha more effectively?
Tishthan Vraje. You have to stay in Vraja. The verse itself is saying. Mentally and if possible physically. If you are staying mentally in Vraja, Bhava Vrindavanam, obviously which pastimes will you be thinking of? So you can't be in Bhava Vrindavan and think of Dwarka pastimes. so Bhava Vrindavan means you have to think of a specific type of pastime, that is Vraja pastimes. It's automatically indicated. That is the answer to the query.
All right, good. So I had a little follow-up on this one as well. So when, you mentioned Srimad Bhagavatam as the primary textbook, and then other two as well. The first 9 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, which are very voluminous, primarily deal with Krishna's devotees and various other incarnations, and then we come to the Dashamaskandha. So to develop this Shravana and Varana Dasha, is it the right way to understand that the first 9 cantos sort of are preparing us to ultimately actually go into the Smara Dasha of Krishna when we reach the Dashamskand? Or what is the
purpose of 9
first
cantos?
9 cantos?
Yeah. First 9 cantos, what is the purpose? The purpose is not to prevent you that you can't directly go to 10th because take some time. It's not to delay your entry to 10th canto. The purpose of the first 9 cantos is so your tattva becomes clear. So which tattva? First is, what is the meaning of tattva? So there is a meaning of the term tattva. Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yad jnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabdaya. Tattva means it is one, but it has 3 names: Brahma, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. And what is Brahma? What is Paramatma? What is Bhagavan? And then what are Bhagavan's various qualities, Bhagavan's various pastimes, Bhagavan's qualities, Bhagavan's abode? How does Bhagavan's abode look like? So all that, what is Vaikuntha like, all of this, it comes in 2nd canto, 3rd canto, 4th canto, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. When the tattva is clear, then Krishna. So then with the same understanding, because we know what is the nature of Vaikuntha. So we know Goloka is also a place of similar nature. Basically, it is Chit. It is spiritual in nature. But for that, we have to understand the tattva through the first 9 cantos. The purpose of the first 9 cantos is that the tattva becomes clear. And once the tattva is clear, you have entry into the 10th canto. So that is what it is. Therefore, when you see the Sandarbhas of Sri Jiva Goswami, it is not directly Krishna Sandarbha. First is tattva, Bhagavat, Paramatma, Bhakti, Krishna, Krishna, tattva, Bhagavat, Paramatma, Krishna, then Bhakti, then Preeti. So Krishna is the 4th Sandarbha, which means first he wants you to know about Bhagavan. What is Bhagavat Tattva? Otherwise, we'll mistake Krishna to be an ordinary human being, so which is not. That is the answer to it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Prabhuji. There's another small question on the chat. How does a sadhak know if they have reached Smara Dasha? I think you answered it, but...
So there's no spoon feeding on this path. There's no spoon feeding on this path. I can only take you so far to point to you. This is what the Acharya said. Now, a sincere sadhaka must start Shravan Dasha. And when they start Shravan Dasha, they will automatically come to know where their inclinations for Varan and Smaran will automatically begin to arise. So, first thing is, please begin Shravan Dasha. Please begin Shravan Dasha. Please begin serious and thorough research and understanding into what is the crux of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, Shri Krishna Lila, in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. That is what it is.
Wonderful. Thank you, Prabhuji. So we'll go back. I don't see any new devotee hands. So we'll start with Samarpan Gopadas Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, you mentioned this about transition from Vaidhi to Raganuga. So I have 2 references, one from Srila Prabhupada, one from Bhakti Brihad Bhagavatamrita, where it is mentioned. I'll just read. some statements of Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Similarly, most aspiring Vaishnavas need to be purified from material contamination by regulative devotional practice. Only a few souls already pure can enter directly into spontaneous loving service. So this is Brihad Bhagavatamrita, and Srila Prabhupada says in 16th chapter Bhakti Rasa, NOD, that we must always remember, however, that such eagerness to follow in the footsteps of denizens of Vraj, Vrindavan, is not possible unless one is freed from material contamination. In following the regulative principles of devotional service, there is a stage called Anartha Nivritti, which means disappearance of all material contamination.
Okay.
And the last statement is this: only after stage of liberation from material contamination, one can actually aspire to follow in the footsteps of devotees in Vrindavan. So these are two references which I was studying about this for a long time. So how do we understand this?
So my very simple question is that why do all the people in Tulsi Aarti then start aspiring for Sakhir Anugat Karo, Seva Adhikarati Karo Nijadas?
Yes, bro, I also very feelingly pray that what you are saying.
But you know, without purification, how can you say that statement? Please tell me.
Yeah, I mean, it is in external system of Prabhupada, and I have, as we understand, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants us to go into that Kaviraj Goswami's prayers. So that's why I am singing that.
The thing is, Prabhu, as I have pointed out from Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, see, you cannot allow a big mass of people into Raganuga Bhakti. I hope you understand.
Yes.
If you tell everybody that, okay, if you have the required aspirations, even if there is some impurity, still entry is possible, and then you purify yourself later. This will open a big floodgate of unqualified people saying that I am also qualified for Raganuga. I also have Lobha. When in general, they don't have the Lobha. Because people have the tendency to, people have sheep mentality. Oh, this person wants it, so I also want it. He has the latest TV, I also want. Wow, he's Raganuga Bhakta, I also want Raganuga Bhakta. So it's not like that. In order to prevent people from, falling to sheep mentality, some statements have been made that unless you're fully purified, you're not qualified. Unless you're fully purified, you're not qualified. When we look deeper into the statements of the Acharyas say, if somebody has the lobha and still has some impurities in the beginning, the entry is possible, but very quickly through the practice of Raganuga Bhakti, the impurities are removed. So that is when we have a detailed look at it. I hope you're able to understand. Huh? For example, during COVID, they made a rule in Vrindavan. No vehicles are allowed. Okay. When you have a deeper look, you found out that some vehicles who had a pass were allowed. I hope you're able to understand.
Yes.
So a vehicle who has an emergency pass was allowed. But so when you have a detailed look at what the Acharyas say, you see finer shades of what has been explained in general. So general statements are that in general, nobody should try to enter unless one's desires are purified, etc. Very nice. These we accept all of that. But the Acharyas, previous Acharyas have also given, a window of entering into such a type of bhakti if one has the lobha, even if one's desires are not fully purified. And I specified in Jayadwarka Prabhu's answer from the commentary of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur to 10 point.
Yes, Prabhu. Falashruti, that is extremely clear. Like Pratilabdha Kamam, that one.
Yes. So it is very clear. Yes. So what comes first? Clearance of desire or hearing Krishna Lila?
Hearing Krishna Lila.
Wonderful.
Faithfully from right source.
Wonderful. So you have the answer.
Yes, bro. So now both I can reconcile.
Thank
you.
Very nice. Rohini Nandan Prabhu will go to you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you so much for the wonderful class. So Prabhu, I just wanted to clarify my understanding here. So it sounds like Vaidhi Bhakti and Raganuga Bhakti are like two different types and not necessarily like two stages as we,
Parallel tracks.
Parallel tracks. So, and I think I am also like remembering like your post on Facebook, where you had, I don't remember exactly, but where you had mentioned something about Pushti Mark practices are like more of like Raganuga practices. So, can you please like elaborate on that?
Pushti Marg is the name of the Sampradaya of Sri Vallabhacharya. So, Srila Rupa Goswami says in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, and I will share my screen so you can see. He says in 1.2.309, Pushti Margataya Kaishchid Iyam Raganuga Uchyate. Iyam Raganuga, this Raganuga Bhakti Uchyate is known as, by some people, Kaishchid. What is it known as? Pushti Margataya, by the name Pushti Marga. So he is very clearly saying what I call as Raganuga Bhakti, some others call it as which Marg? Pushti Marg. And then before that, says, Vaidhi Bhakti Riyam Kaishchan Maryada Marga Uchyate. What I call as Vaidhi Bhakti, some people call as which Marg? Maryada Marg. So Maryada Marg and Pushti Marg are terminologies used in Sri Vallabhacharya Sampradaya. So he's saying what Sri Vallabhacharya says Maryada Marg, I call Vaidhi Bhakti. What Sri Vallabhacharya says Pushti Marg, I call Raganuga. That is the answer to your question.
So, Prabhuji, these are two parallel paths, as I am understanding.
Right.
And is it true that in a previous lifetime, or one has to perfect, like you said, the tattva needs to be clear, that whole sort of concept, and then one advances in that sense? Is there some kind of serialization across lifetimes that one has to purify themselves or understand the tattva and then be able to enter into the mood of following the footsteps of a Ragatmika Bhakta?
In general, Srila Jiva Goswami has given in the Bhakti Sandarbha beginning, he is quoting, I will show you the statement. He is quoting from Brahma Vaivarta Puran. He says, Yavat papaistu malunam hridayam, as long as the heart is polluted by serious sins, not minor aparadhas, serious sins. Tavadevahi, till that time, na shastre satya buddhi syat, one does not develop faith in Shastra. Sat buddhi, sat guru, and in a bona fide guru. Aneka janma janita, through many lifetimes, one acquires punya rashi phalam, a big devotional piety, mahat, big stock of devotional piety. By that, what happens? Satsanga. He finally gets the association of one bona fide sadhu. And what does he get to hear from that bona fide sadhu? Shastra Shravanat. Eva, only through this method, prema adi jayate, he will attain prema. So, it's correct that it is not simply a matter of one lifetime. Sometimes it takes a few lifetimes. Sometimes it can happen in one lifetime by some causeless mercy. But usually it takes more than one lifetime. Therefore, if somebody is not convinced about Raganuga Bhakti, don't disturb them. Is what it is.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Madhav Tripathi Prabhu, please unmute.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I had a little doubt. Like I've been having this doubt for a while. So, let's say somebody gets attracted to a particular rasa and the other person gets attracted to a different rasa. So, what is the inherent reason behind that happening? Why does one person get attracted to a particular rasa and the other to the other one? Because as like you have specified in many of your talks that we haven't really fell from anywhere. So like, how do we know that like a particular devotee develops a particular desire towards Krishna? How does that happen?
What you are asking is shrouded in the mysteries of Anadi. Your existence is Anadi. You were never born, you were never produced as a Jiva. So all the influences that Jiva has had through so many births, all the influences of the sadhus that the Jiva has met in so many births, all the influences of the various bhakti sukriti that the Jiva has done in various births, has left a certain impression. And that impression has become innate to the Jiva. So you can call it adrishta, the unseen factors that have played their role in millions of previous lives since time immemorial. So our acharyas call it adrishta, that which you cannot see because it is hidden in the window of Anadi, beginningless time. That is the answer to your query.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Really very clear.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Vishwadeep Prabhu, please unmute.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
I have two questions. Can I ask or I should wait for the second question?
One, and maybe, one you can ask in the comments in the WhatsApp group.
Okay. So my question is that you have mentioned very specifically about Bhava Vrindavan. And at last you have also mentioned that physically staying in Vrindavan also. Like in Bhakti Rasamrita, Jiva Goswami also says that staying in physically, if possible, to stay in Vrindavan where Krishna advented, and if not possible, to stay in at least through mind. So my question is like, why then, like in Chaitanya Charitamrita, when Jagadananda Pandit wanted to go to Vrindavan, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told that do not stay for long and do not like this kind of instruction. Why those are given to? If like Rupa Goswami is directly saying that we should Tishtan Vraja, we should stay in Vraja, and in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu also. So why this contradictory statements are given?
The instruction that was given to Sri Jagadananda Pandit was given to him only because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understood his situation and he gave an instruction of what was favorable to his situation. The general instruction for Raganuga bhaktas is Tishtan Vraja, stay in Vraja. So that is what it is. Jagadananda Pandit, whose mood does he carry in Krishna Lila?
He forgetting.
Oh, you should know, otherwise how will you be able to decode the answer?
Satyabhama.
Wonderful. Satyabhama is a resident of which place?
Yeah. It is Dwarka, Mathura.
So,
Dwarka.
there is a reasoning behind why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked him not to stay in Vrindavan for long. I will share the screen from Gaur Ganodesh Tipika. The Gaur Ganodesh Tipika specifies something about Jagadananda Pandit. What does Gaur Ganodesh Tipika say? It says Satyabhama Prakashopi Jagadananda Pandita. Jagadananda Pandit is Prakash Vigraha, is Prakash form of which particular individual?
Satyabhama.
What will Satyabhama do in Vrindavan? Tell me.
Yeah. Clear.
Rupa Goswami's instructions are for those who are aspiring for Vraja Seva. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew he will not aspire for that because his innate mood is that of Satyabhama. Therefore, the instruction of Chaitanya, we cannot turn one instruction into a general Siddhanta. Na? That is the big mistake.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, chalo. Let's move.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Mohit Deshmukh Prabhu, please unmute.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity for asking question. So my question is like my previous question was like previous question जो पहले का था question वही मेरा था, but I have one another question, that is I have heard somewhere, I don't have praman for that, but you correct me if that is correct or not, that in Mathura there is a mixture of hey ragatmika like raganuga bhakti as well as Vidhi bhakti. There is mixture, and is it, if it is correct, if there is a mixture, then those who wants to like be in Mathura and to follow in the footsteps of Mathura vasis, they should have tinge of Raganuga bhakti, right? So
That is not
tinge
the
of Raganuga.
Siddhanta. When somebody practices a mixture of, when somebody has a desire for attaining Radha Krishna, but they practice Vaidhi Bhakti, then they end up attaining a section of Vrindavan which has Aishwarya Maya Lila. So there's nothing mentioned about Mathura etc. in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu in this regard. There is mentioned in the commentary of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, it is mentioned that those whose aspiration is to attain Radha Krishna, but they follow Vaidhi Bhakti, they will not attain Dwarka. Why? Because they did not aspire for Rukmini Krishna, they aspired for Radha Krishna. But neither will they attain Goloka Vrindavan. Why? Because they did not perform Raganuga Bhakti. So what will they attain? He said there's a compartment in Vrindavan where Aishwarya Bhav of Krishna is present, and that is the portion of Sri Vrindavan which he will attain in the spiritual world. So that is the answer to your question.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu Prabhu, I see you have raised your hand.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji. My question is, what's the origin of these 5 stages to Shas? Is it in the Shastra? Did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teach or the Goswamis or one of our acharyas after?
The origin of this I will show is in the Bhakti Sandarbha of Srila Jiva Goswami. So in the Bhakti Sandarbha of Srila Jiva Goswami, I will share my screen and I will show where it is. So let me share my screen. There are 5 stages of within Smaran. That's it. Yeah, here it is. See here, Prabhu, if you are able to see the screen sharing, can you see Tatra Smaranam, Dharana, Dhyanam? If you are able to see these are in the Bhakti Sandarbha. And in which Anuched? This is in Anuched number around 278. Originally, it comes from the Bhakti Sandarbha of Sri Jiva Goswami.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Then we go to Mihika Mataji.
Sachindra Krishna Prabhu, who is asking for the first time.
Oh, okay, yes. Sachindra Krishna Prabhu, please unmute.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. I'm at work at the hospital, but I've been listening off and on, and I'll have to listen again. But this question came up in my mind. You may have answered when I wasn't able to listen, but just in case. It may take many lifetimes to develop this mood of going back home and so forth. But if you've cultivated a particular mood in one lifetime, but obviously you haven't reached the stage of samadhi and so forth, and scriptures say that you will start at that level in your next lifetime, hopefully. Do you still have that same mood?
Obviously,
or
you will
will
obviously
have to cultivate a new one?
No. Bhagavad Gita very clearly says, Bhagavad Gita 6.44. I'm sharing my screen. Purvabhyasena tenaiva hriyate hi avashopi saha. Purvabhyasena. Param Karuna Prabhu, what is the meaning of Purvabhyas?
Previous practice.
Wonderful. Here is the translation. By virtue of the divine consciousness of previous life, he automatically becomes to yogic principle even without seeking them. So this general principle is applicable to all forms of bhakti.
So that particular mood that he's cultivated in whatever rasa will reverberate in the next lifetime.
Yes, if he had attained Raganuga Bhakti and something remained, he could not attain the stage of prema. Whatever was lacking will be covered up in the next life.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
All right, thank you very much. So we'll go to Mihika Mataji again.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhu, my second question is that in the Shravan Dasa, as it's the most important in order to advance in our devotional service, is there any like specific details that we should keep in mind while listening or hearing to different lectures and kathas?
We should hear from people who speak from Shastra, not from their mental speculation. So anybody who speaks from Shastra is a bona fide individual, and anybody who speaks from their mental speculation is not so much recommended by the previous acharyas. So whenever somebody speaks, it is the culture of the previous acharyas to immediately back it up with Shastra Praman. Srila Prabhupada was very much emphasizing that he should a person should immediately back up whatever he says by Shastra Praman. So unless one does that, it is not possible that you are getting good instruction. Good instruction means it has to come from Shastra. So I had shared some time ago many quotes from Srila Prabhupada. I will try to find some of them. But Srila Prabhupada said in the culture of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is immediately he backs it up with Shastra. All these things I had shared in the WhatsApp group also. That, but I'll try to find it. If I find it right now in this lecture, I'll definitely I'll share it. But in general, a person who speaks from Shastra is a person who is speaking in a bona fide manner, because Shastra is bona fide and Shastra is the authority. So that is the answer to your query.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Last question. Again, we have Samarpan Gopa Prabhu. Or we have one more after. Okay.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So my question is about this, what Prabhuji was also asking in the same lines of first 9 cantos and then 10th canto. So the speaker himself has spoken in a way that he is taking us to Vrindavan in terms of Ashraya Tattva. So first 9 cantos, so what is the role of first 9 cantos in terms of understanding the purports? Like Prabhupada says, unless one understand the purports of first 9 cantos, he uses this terminology at one place. So do we have to endeavor to try to understand the 9 cantos the way Shukdev Goswami wanted us to understand, and then we approach?
We should understand the 9 cantos the way the acharyas in our parampara intend us to understand. How Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Shri Jiva Goswami want us to understand. That understanding is supreme for us. That understanding is primary for us. And I'd like to share that quote which Mohit Prabhu kindly posted. Srila Prabhupada. Mihika, are you there?
Yes, Prabhu.
Please read what is given on the screen. Srila Prabhupada.
Srila Prabhupada. Books mean solid ground. What we want to preach, it is recorded, not any concocted ideas. This is direction by Rupa Goswami.
Shruti Smriti Purane di Pancharatra Vidim Vina Aikantiki Harer Bhaktir Utpatayaiva Kalpate. Please read the translation.
Translation. Devotional service of the Lord that ignores the authorized Vedic literatures like the Upanishads, Puranas, and Narad Panchatattva is simply an unnecessary disturbance in society. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.10.
Please read ahead.
Other one. Okay, Prabhu. Without the support of Shruti, Smriti, Purana, and religious movement for understanding God is simply disturbance. Utpatayeva kalpate. Utpat, it is the version given by even Krishna. He is God himself. He is speaking. He is giving reference to the Vedanta Sutra, Brahma Sutra Pades, Cheva Hetu Madhir Vinishchite, Gita 13.5. So without reference to the Vedic literature, anything you speak, it has no ground. Shruti Praman, this is Vedic literature. Shruti Praman, it must be supported by Shruti.
So this is the culture, right? Okay.
Okay. We have one last question again by Sachindra Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I just wanted to clarify. I think I heard in your lecture that we must seek association of a guru or uttamadhikari that has the qualities that can help us in this path, of Raganuga Bhakti. Is that correct, or did I?
Of course, you should find an Uttamadhikari who is a Gaudiya Vaishnava. And a Gaudiya Vaishnava who is trained in the system of Srila Rupa Goswami will definitely, most likely be following Raganuga Bhakti.
So that is the hard part. In ISKCON, I don't want, okay,
so we're not speaking about any individual.
Yeah, true. I have found it very hard. I've been around for, over 20 years, and I find it hard. Krishna introduced our paths, somehow, because I had an inclination to learn more about this tattva. But otherwise, before meeting you, very little have I heard about detailed instructions on how to actually go deep into Raganuga Bhakti. So I find it very difficult to find someone who is at that level and speaking on these topics other than you, maybe a few others, but very hard for us in general to go that path. It's tough. It's tough. I guess what you said, if you really have that greed, then Krishna will help you find that person. Otherwise, you will just continue on the Vaidhi path for a while and then maybe lifetimes. But thank you.
Yeah, unless one has the required fire in the stomach, they will not seek out a person of that particular inclination. Therefore, Raganuga Bhakti is not for the masses. There is a reason why even the 8th verse of Upadeshamritam, after the 8th verse of Upadeshamritam, it is not taught in most of the formal courses of any institution. There is a reason why. The reason being that Raganuga Bhakti cannot be institutionalized. And these verses are speaking about that type of Bhakti. And therefore, you'll need to have a specific type of mindset, a specific type of person guiding you. And the only way to find such a person is to cry to Krishna. That is the answer.
Yes. Thank you, Prabhu. That is exactly how I felt. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So, would you like to take one last question? I think Samarpan Ghosh Prabhu has.
Sure, one last question.
Okay. Please go ahead.
Yes, Prabhu, thank you. So, this is just to clarify my understanding, Prabhu. I have heard from one very exalted Prabhupada's disciple, spiritual master, Sannyasi Guru, and I have great respect and not affection, but respect for him. But what he said in Bhagavatam class here, now he is not there. But he said that Prabhupada is Ragatmika Bhakta. And if you follow Prabhupada by Vaidhi Bhakti, you will go to Goloka. So I am also unable to digest that, but then I want to have a clear understanding of this because many others repeat that. So
what is the, with all due respect to, this is, you're speaking of a specific institution, a specific disciple of a, So I don't want to sound as if I'm speaking against a particular person, because I don't even know whom you're referring about, whom you are speaking about. So obviously, I don't know which devotee spoke this, but let's take that opinion. We're not discussing the person, but the opinion that this particular personality gave. Let's take that.
I also want.
Yeah. So let's take that opinion. What is the meaning of a Ragatmika Bhakti? Please tell me.
Ragatmika Bhakta has the definition in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, which you showed in the class. That Paramavishtata is there, and
no, the definition is Virajantim Abhivyaktam Vrajavasi Janadeshu. So when this type of bhakti is in Vrajavasi Janadeshu, is in those who are eternal residents of Vrindavan. Now, Srila Prabhupada is definitely, but is he an eternal resident of Vrindavan in that same body or in a different body?
Yeah, in his Siddha Deha.
100%.
What we might be seeing and what we might be reading in Lila Amrit is more about his Sadhak Deha, his apparently Sadhak Deha.
Shri Rupa Goswami is which body? Sadhak Deha or Siddha Deha?
Rupa Goswami is Sadhak Deha and Rupa
Rupa Manjari is which Deha?
Siddha Deha.
Similarly, so there are Sadhaka and Siddha bodies. So Srila Prabhupada, who founded the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, the body in which he was perceived by all the disciples was which Deha? Sadhaka Deha or Siddha Deha?
They saw Sadhak Deha, experienced Sadhak Deha, described Sadhak Deha.
Yeah.
That's what they always are inspired,
So,
and I am also.
So a Sadhaka Deha is not, is not of the nature of Ragatmika. A Siddha Deha is of the nature of Raga. So Srila Prabhupada has his Siddha identity, and in that Siddha identity he has Ragatmika Bhakti. But in Sadhaka Deha, even Srila Prabhupada was following Rupa Goswami. So in Sadhaka Deha, which type of bhakti was Srila Prabhupada executing? Ragatmika or Raganuga?
Sadhak Deha Raganuga.
So it's clear. Why the misconception? All right.
Still some doubt is there.
Maybe we can take it in the chat or.
Yeah, in the WhatsApp group you can
as you wish, Prabhuji.
Yeah, in the WhatsApp group there's an opportunity to ask a follow-up question if there's some doubt. Maybe you can think about it, take some time and frame your query and then put it in the WhatsApp group. All right.
Sure, Prabhuji.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. 3 hours. I'm amazed. So, Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu, Prabhu, would you like to close with closing remarks, or if you're still able to? Looks like he's busy. So, I think all the devotees can unmute and give a very, very heartfelt appreciation for such deep and like I think one of the devotees said, we don't, Sachindra Krishna Prabhu said, we don't hear this deep understanding much. And I am personally, and I'm sure many share this feeling, are deeply indebted for sharing this understanding with us with so much patience, with so much compassion, with your time, with all of us. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Extremely grateful.
Yeah, one of my Shiksha Gurus, Srimad Gaur Govind Maharaj, he always had the desire that we should be able to explain not only the ABC but also the XYZ. And this is an attempt to fulfill his desire that we should not only know the ABC, we should also know the XYZ of spiritual life. So that his desire was so that the society of ISKCON has good reputation, because many had developed this opinion that within the ISKCON society, people do not teach these concepts. And he always wanted to give that impression that there are individuals within ISKCON who, will be able to speak on these things. So this is an attempt to give some pleasure to him, because a lot of the things which I learned in my spiritual life were inspired from him. Thank you.
Thank you. It's not my place to say, but I'm pretty sure he is extremely happy with this effort that you are doing to serve his lotus feet. Thank you. I invite all the devotees to express their gratitude to Prabhuji, and please, if possible, turn on your camera so we can all see you. Or if that's not possible, that's okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hari Pastor Prabhu ki.
Hare Krishna.
Jai.
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 Love you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Very.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hari Pastor Prabhu, for all your time, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Eternally indebted, Prabhu.
No problem.
Eternally.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We'll have to wait for Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu Prabhu to close the call.
All right. So I can log off till then. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Dandavat, Prabhuji.
My pranams.